Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by our friends at FanDuel. And this is the post-game show. After Notre Dame won 25-10 over Boston College. And that's kind of where the positives end. But we are going to discuss it all. Positives, negatives, the good, the bad, and a lot of ugly. And we are going to jump into it for sure. And yes, we will be talking about special teams because that is a third of the game, as they tell me. And it was not good today. But Brian, I'm going to throw it to you because this segment is where we talk big picture. We talk about our initial thoughts on the game. And we will get into the nitty gritty of the offense and the defense, as we move forward. But this is kind of for those of you who have not joined us before, we like to talk big picture to start off with and just our raw initial thoughts after sitting through what was a very difficult game to watch, Brian.
It was. And look, you guys can have whatever opinion you want in the show. I'm not going to tell you guys what to say. People in the chat are allowed to have whatever feelings they want to have. If you want to try to spin this and pretend like we're in the Brian Kelly era and just winning is all that matters, and it's okay that you beat a garbage 1-7 football team by only 15 points, that's fine. You're allowed to say that, but that's not where I'm at right now. This was an incredibly disappointing win. I'm not going to sit here and be like, winning's all that matters. No, it's not. In this era of the college football playoff, just winning is not all that matters, because the last time Notre Dame played a garbage Boston College team and won ugly, they went down in the rankings. We've seen that happen before. I'm disappointed in this outcome, guys. Yes, you got to win, but this was not even close to an acceptable performance. And I've said this over and over again. And if you're someone who's like, oh, they won, so just be happy, then you're just gonna not be happy tonight with how I'm coming at you, because that's not
championship mentality.
It's not. And that's the whole thing I've said for years. This is why I busted Brian Kelly's so hard all the time. It's because I hated the whole, as long as we win, that's all that matters. No, it's not all that matters, because you came out of the bye week. You had a week. This is the second bye you've had this week to come out of the bye, and this is what you give us after byes. This is what we have to see. You have the defense for a while reverts back to what it was early in the season. The offense comes out with no energy, no emotion, lazy play on the perimeter by some players. This is the most schizophrenic offense I've ever seen in my life. We'll get into that more. But just the overall lack of urgency, the lack of discipline. I mean, you're about to get off the field on a 4th down, and you just, after the ball's gone, shove a guy out of bounds? Really? That's what we're doing now? False starts, jumping off sides on 3rd and 3, giving up wide open plays. I mean, BC on 3rd and 4th down kicked Notre Dame's butt today. Situational football is something we talked about during the Keys to Victory, and Notre Dame got their butts kicked in situational football today. Notre Dame had 4 big plays in this game on offense and 3 big plays on defense. Outside of that, they got outplayed and outcoached by Boston College. They won this game because their players are way better than Boston College's players. That's a fact. Now, I don't want to get in. If they play like this against so-and-so, that's not how football works.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You play like this against, of course. And if Georgia plays like they did today against Florida, against Notre Dame, who plays like they did against some good game, then that's not how football works. It's about this game. And I'm incredibly disappointed to have watched this team come out after a bye in a big moment with your last chance to make a statement to the committee before the first rankings. 2 top 10 teams have already gone down, and you're playing a 1-7 team who gets whooped week after week. And this is the effort that we saw from the coaching staff and the players. This isn't just a player thing, because some of the stuff we saw from the coaching today was disappointing. And it's just the lack of discipline, fumbling the ball again inside the 10-yard line, again, same player. There were so many disappointing things today, fellas. I mean, even some of the good plays. I mean, Will Pauling almost had a pass breakup on Malachi Fields' touchdown pass. It's just 2 guys running the route to the same spot of the field. This was a team that was completely unprepared to play to anywhere close to its potential. And that's something that Marcus Freeman is going to have to look in the mirror again and figure something out with this football team. And the Notre Dame captains and the Notre Dame leadership are going to have to look in the mirror and say, something's missing. Because we've seen past Notre Dame teams that didn't have a good offensive coordinator or a good defensive coordinator or a good O-line coach or D-line coach or whatever. I'm not saying that Notre Dame doesn't have good players in those positions or in those spots. I'm saying past teams have had that. But the players came together and said, no excuses, fellas. This is on us. We're going to do what we need to do. It's nobody else's fault that we don't do what we need to do. Missed tackles early in the game. I mean, BC could do nothing in the first half until the final drive if it wasn't for missed tackles. Just an utter lack of discipline from this football team in all phases of the game. And don't even get me started on special teams. I know Vince is going to have plenty to say about that. But the fact of the matter is, guys, this was a missed opportunity by Notre Dame. They had an opportunity to go on the road against a bad football team and make a statement, and a cheap, dirty football team, and they never punched back in the right way. BC was dirty. We talked about it during the week, guys. We said this in our shows. They're going to throw everything at you. They're going to try to get you off your game. And you know what? The Notre Dame players allowed them to get them out of their game because this team is not mature enough so far. Now, could that change? And 3 weeks from now, they're playing great football. Oh, you wish you No, because this is where they are right now. This is how they played today. And how they play next week or the next week or the next week doesn't have anything to do with how they played today. Doesn't have anything to do with this defensive game plan or the lack of poise that this team showed today. And that was discouraging. And then to come out the second half and you let BC's garbage offense take 10 minutes off the clock.
More than that.
I mean, your offense just responds with like no urgency whatsoever, guys. I couldn't have been more disappointed in the way that this team fought today, this way this team played today. And then they finally turn it loose late. And I'm going to have plenty to say about the offense and the defense today because the defense did some really good things statistically and at the end of the game, but they didn't play very well either. Again, you know why Notre Dame won convincingly? And I never thought they were going to lose this game. There was at no point in time, 12-10, they were going to lose this game. But I also didn't feel at any point in time that they were going to really bury this team. Because this team, just for whatever reason, guys, has yet to show me that they have that it factor where they can just kind of put it all together yet. Could that change next week? Week after? Sure. But it's not there now. And how you come out of the break with this type of lack of urgency on the offensive side of the ball, the lack of discipline and focus on the defensive side of the ball, and you still don't have a kicker. You literally had all three of your kickers miss something today. 2 extra points and a field goal. Like, guys, I'll trade all the trick play BS that we've seen from this team for just being able to line up and make an extra point and a field goal. Like, I'll trade it all for that. And I just, and look, Coach Freeman's done a lot of great things, but we're also not going to carry water for him. When he doesn't do a good job in a game, we're going to say didn't do a good job in a game. He did not have his team mentally ready to play today. He didn't. They did not BC out-coached them today. It's just that Notre Dame's players are way better than BC's players. And Notre Dame had some individual players that had outstanding performances, which we'll get into. But I couldn't be more disappointed. 4th and 2, you run that fake punt. You know why that bothered me? That bothered me more than anything because of what that said about your football team, about how you think about your football team, that you felt inside the 40 and with Jeremiah Love on the field, the most obvious fake punt is coming ever on 4th and 2, and you didn't think that your offense could line up and convert it. You know why? Because they probably couldn't. And that to me is just symbolic of this football team did not come out today with the proper mindset, the proper focus, the proper leadership from a coaching standpoint and a player standpoint to play to their potential. And that's why I'm really frustrated. Yes, it was a win. And I'd much rather be pissed off after a win. But the fact of the matter is, fellas, is this performance is just unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Sean, what are your thoughts, my man?
I'll give a positive spin in the sense that there's a game next week. That's all I got. There's a game next week. You move on to the next game, at least for Marcus Freeman and his team. Brian pretty much hit everything on the head. These players played like they have arrived today. They were constantly making undisciplined mistakes and still talking trash. You're still talking trash and buying into what Boston College is trying to do to you. Like no leadership at some point in that game said, "Hey, stop talking. Forget all that talking. Just go out there and kick their butts." No coach, obviously. Well, I did say Marcus Freeman a couple of times. He definitely got on Jalen Sneed after that. I don't know what that kid was thinking on that play. And unfortunately, you get the fourth down stop, and then they throw the phantom penalty on Josh Burnham. Things like that, you understand. But you just continue to make mistake after mistake. And then the coaches, I'm going to say this. Notre Dame is extremely talented, but they are one of the easiest teams to prepare for coaching-wise. They're easy to prepare for because you know what Chris Ash is going to call. Every offensive coordinator he's going up against has predicted what he's going to do situationally. Boston College isn't. You guys were laughing about it on the text thread. Boston College's coaching staff isn't that. Dude, that's not like a great coaching staff. Did you see how they messed up so many things? And it's like, as Brian said, they out-coach Notre Dame. The coaching staff should be embarrassed. We get a sack to make it 3rd and 14. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too deep, but this 3rd and 14, you get a sack with your front four, and then 2nd and 14, 2nd and 10, then you get to 3rd and 14, and then you come with a blitz. Why? Because that's just what you feel like you have to do. As Chris Ash, it's 3rd and 14. We got a blitz. No, you don't. No, you don't. Of course, it's just so many things defensively and offensively as coaches. Offensively, Brian, Vince, I feel like I'm watching a team that's based out of the modern day basketball teams, whether it's either layups or 3-pointers. Like you have all of this floor to use, all of this space. You have all of these great running backs, and you just want to keep them in this box with everything built into the box and run straight ahead. Can I get a pitch? Can I get something to the outside? Isn't it amazing when you actually run a stretch play, how something opens and your running back presses the front, breaks a tackle, and takes it 90+ yards? Like, let them be athletes. And finally, when they did convert on that one short down, it's just, I know these coaches are good. And then, Brian, I'll be honest, this goes back to something we've discussed. Like, is this an overall, is this a flow from the top down as far as how this team is going to operate? Like, because all we heard was this, we didn't have any time off. It was a bye week, but we were working.
Mm-hmm.
What evidence?
What were you working on?
What were you working on? What was
Seriously?
Because it was either Jeremiah Love, the run game, or the 3-point shot, down the field shots and big plays. That's all it was. The intermediate craftiness, play action, just other things defensively. Like you said, we'll get into it. They did some good things. You look at the numbers, like you said, you be, oh man, happy with this, happy with that. But just big picture, undisciplined, very sloppy. You played with an attitude as if
you played like this team was beneath you.
Yes,
which
I was just about to say that. Absolutely. You played with an arrogance. Yes. You played with an arrogance that was unearned. Like if you do, If you had done that in the third quarter to Arkansas, the way you were spanking them, I'm like, okay, your play is earned. You've earned the right to talk a little trash. You didn't earn that at all today. They didn't earn that at all with their play. So for me, big picture, this was just very disappointing. But yet, they have 4 more games. That's why I say I'm going to take it positive because, all right, if this was the game before the last game, I would be like, man, this really might hurt them going into that final ranking. You have 4 more opportunities after this. And unfortunately, forget defensively, offensively, as a team, they might have peaked 3 weeks ago as a team, because it seems like as a team, their performance has gotten less. And then for after a bye week to be even worse than it was against USC collectively, that is just disappointing. It's just really disappointing. It's really disappointing.
You know, Vince, I can live with a game that's more competitive than it should be.
Sure.
Sometimes the opponent plays their butts off. Sometimes you just don't have it. You know, sometimes your quarterback just might be a touch off, or there's sometimes you just don't always play your best football. And that's not what tonight was, though. That's my thing is like, Sean, you and I, we grew up playing sports year round, right? Whether it's baseball, basketball, football. There's some days, man, Larry Bird just couldn't hit a jumper. Some days Michael Jordan just couldn't hit a shot other than dunks. You know what I mean? Like that's the game. That's part of the game. Sometimes John Elway didn't have it. I can live with that, but that's not what this was. That's what frustrates me. That's not what this was. This was a lack of there was no like, okay, we'll get into specifics. We get offense and defense, but this team in all 3 phases of the game clearly came into this game feeling like we can just roll the ball out there and you guys are going to lay down and bow down because we beat USC, we're Notre Dame, and you're BC. And that to me shows me a severe lack of top-down leadership. To your point, Sean, the fact that this is how you came into the game, and I just have a hard time believing that this just reared its ugly head on Saturday. You know, we didn't see it at all during the weeks of practice, but it just happened to pop up in all 3 phases of the game. You got a dumb penalty literally in all 3 phases of the game. First special teams play, you run into the guy that fields the punt, the returner. Come on, man. Offensively, getting silly penalties. Defensively, getting dumb penalties. And then just like this team just did not play with any just want to. And even at the end of the game, like the defense, I felt like at least in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, started showing it. But then you have the lack of maturity by a freaking senior in Jalen Sneed, who just made a very dirty, selfish play. The ball was clearly gone. You literally looked downfield and saw the ball, then turned back to the guy and shoved him. What are you thinking? He shouldn't have been back on the field. It's like it's that type of stuff that can get you beat when you play somebody better. You say, well, they didn't play somebody better. Absolutely, I said that earlier. But what this kind of game shows is this team doesn't have the maturity of last year's team. And that's something that when you don't have that from a player standpoint, and that can happen sometimes when you have a team whose best leaders are juniors, true juniors. That's a fact. And that says a lot about those players, but it also is a bit problematic. And when that's the case, the coaching has to take advantage of has to take some of that responsibility. Say, hey, we are going to step up in the place where we don't have a 6-year senior like Jack Kaiser. We don't have a 5th-year senior like Xavier Watts. We don't have a 5th-year senior like Riley Mills as leaders of this football team. We have some younger leaders. A redshirt freshman quarterback who's emerging, but still a redshirt freshman. So we've got to step up and make sure that we supply some of that leadership. And they just flat out, we didn't see that happen in this game. We just flat out didn't see this happen. And so there were some very good things that we're going to talk about from certain players, and there was certainly some positives. We'll talk about those in the offensive section and the defensive section. But that was all dragged down by just the lack of mental focus today from this football team. Now, the good news is, and Vince, I want to get your thoughts after this. Sometimes if you have good leadership at the top, a game like this can be taken and used as fuel for the rest of the way. Absolutely can happen with good coaching, and Marcus Freeman's a good coach. But I'm just kind of tired of needing that type of performance before you finally figure it out. It's just game 8, and it's too late in the season to have that. Well, we just won. It's okay as long as we win. No, that's not. I somebody put a video out after Brian Kelly was fired last week, and I'm not saying this to take a shot at Brian Kelly. I have a real point to make. It was a video all the way back when Nick Saban was head coach at LSU. And they're talking about the difference between the head coaches. And it's Saban after a win just ripping his football team. And his whole point was, I don't care about the score. I care about what led into the process of how this game got played out. And we didn't play good enough football today. Result be damned. Because the result was more indicative today of your dudes are way better than their dudes. And that's the thing that I hope Coach Freeman, and he won't say this in the press conference. We'll probably get like a winning's hard comment, something like that. But we've learned, Sean, that Marcus Freeman doesn't always say publicly what he said in the locker room. And I don't care what he says publicly. I care what he says in the locker room. That's why I don't really pay attention to press conferences anymore. Because I don't care what he says publicly. I care what was being done behind the scenes.
Vince, you know this, as a coach, both of you guys as coaches, great coaches Marcus Freeman is not measuring this game by Boston College. Great coaches are thinking, what if this is Ohio State? What you measure your program by the teams you have to beat. And that's why Nick Saban, after the win, gets ticked off, because he's like, if we're playing such and so, we're getting our butts kicked. That's unacceptable. So when you sit here and say, oh, it's a win. Yeah, it is a win. But it's not. It's not. Because everybody in here knows that type of performance pops up first round, they could be home. If that performance pops up in 2 weeks against Pitt, they might not make it. And the truth of the matter is, this is a continuation of several things offensively and defensively over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And as Brian said, they just have a roster that's better than everybody else that they play. That's where it is right now. They're just flat out better. And even when they don't play well, they're able to win games. But that's not good enough when you want to be a championship team. It's not. It's just not. And like you said, I'm sure Coach Freeman is going to say whatever he says. Expletives and all. But other than that, they got to fix some things.
So I want to give one of the people in the chat the benefit of the doubt here. Not the benefit of the doubt. That's not the right terminology. I want to give him credit because Lido Deck Life says, yes, we won the game, but why does it feel like we lost? That's exactly my feeling right now. It was perfectly summarized in that statement. And so I want to give him credit because I agree with everything that you guys said, because this is a situation where this team has to learn from this. Yes, they got to win. It's great. You want to get the win. You want to get back on the plane. Okay, we got the W, and we talk about it all the time. You can look at the film. You can be critical. You can do all the things and still say, and we got the win. Absolutely. That's the number one priority, is to get the win. I am not disagreeing with anybody that says that. Mm-hmm. But you have a very good roster. You have a program that knows what it's like to win big games. You have a program that is now expected to make a run. You have a program where the bar is a national championship. That's the bar. And they didn't play national championship level football today. And so it's okay to criticize that, because I also don't think that they had national championship effort. That's a
Mhm.
big deal to me. That's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And I'm good with the fact, like, FanDuel had Notre Dame as a 29.5-point favorite, right? Okay, great. They didn't get that. I don't care. Like, that part doesn't bother me. It's not even the score specifically that bothers me. It's the manner in which they played the game,
Mhm.
right? It was not played well. There were certain individuals that had good games, and there were certain good things to take from it and all of those things. And we'll talk about all of that when we get into the offense and the defense. But as a whole, the team didn't play well. They did not play well. Period. End of discussion. And so we're going to talk about it, and it's not going to sound good. And the Pollyannas out there probably aren't going to like what we have to say, but we are prefacing the whole thing with they won the game. I get it, but
Look,
they didn't play well, Brian. They
yeah.
didn't play well.
I'm okay with some people wanting to just say, hey, they won, and I'm not even going at those people. I don't even want to call them Pollyannas. I get where you're coming from, but like, it's okay if somebody wants to look at it that way. Totally fine. I respect it. I get it, but that's never what we've been about at IB, and we keep saying that every time they play like this. But again, it's not the execution that was my problem, guys. It wasn't the fact that, like, even, a misread here, a missed tackle there, a bad run fit here. I can live with that stuff. But what I can't live with is when you just played like an immature football team.
Right. 100%.
And there's too much talent and there's too much experience on this football team.
A lot of mistakes like that. Yeah, a lot of mistakes that are unforced errors. We heard Brock Osweiler say it 1,001 times because he doesn't know how to be quiet. But it was a lot of unforced errors. That part he is correct about. There's a lot of unforced errors, a lot of things that Notre Dame did to themselves in this game. And I give a lot of credit to BC. This was their Super Bowl. I get it. It's a rivalry game. All of those things. They played hard. They played their best game of football of the year, as far as I'm concerned. They went toe-to-toe with Notre Dame for a while. I give them a lot of credit for that. At the same time, Notre Dame allowed them to do that too. And that's not okay. So before,
and we got a couple more things I want to talk about. That's a dirty freaking football team, and Bill O'Brien is a big time POS. I just want to remind everyone of that. I've always felt that, but like his team played like him, cheap, dirty, not as good as he thinks he is, but at least they played hard and they didn't play afraid of Notre Dame. They did not play afraid of Notre Dame today, and I'll give them that. But I got to say this too before we move on to the offense, Vince.
Oh, I got more to say before we move on to the offense.
Okay, then let's get into it. Go ahead, man. Because the fact that we're sitting here in week 9, week 10, of the third year under Marty Biaggi, and for the second straight year, this team can't even an extra point's not even a gimme,
and that's a problem.
Like that, they had 3 different guys miss a kick today,
and they have here's the other. Okay. So as far as the special teams is concerned, obviously we're talking specifically about the kick game because the punt game's in great shape. The return game's in great shape. But the kicking game is horrendous. And this is a major problem for Notre Dame. People are asking me, how are they going to fix it? How are they going to, I know a kid who hit all of his kicks today, PATs and field goals, but that's a different conversation.
Congrats, Dylan, by the way.
He was perfect this week and last week, but whatever. But no, in all seriousness, what they have to do, and I actually had a conversation with him about this because he was encountering a similar situation at his school. They've got to pick somebody and they got to ride with them at this point because kicking is stressful enough just as the job. Like, kicking is a stressful job in general. It's even more stressful when you go out there and you know that if you miss a kick, you're going to lose your job. And this roulette wheel of kickers, they had 3 different guys kick today,
And they all missed the kick.
And they all
missed the kick.
Because it's all between the ears. Yep, every one of those kids is a good kicker. Like, they can all kick. They can all do it. But it's all between the ears right now because they feel, I'm guessing, that nobody has any faith in them because as soon as they miss a kick, they're going to be pulled out. So in order to fix it, and again, you're not going to go to the soccer team on November 1st and go find a kicker. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yes, I know Brandon Aubrey was a soccer player at Notre Dame, and now he's one of the best kickers in the NFL. I get it. He didn't do that overnight, by the way. He went and had a professional soccer career, then practiced being a kicker for a year, then played in the XFL, then went to the NFL. This is not an overnight thing. Kicking a soccer ball is different than kicking a football. I'm sick and tired of hearing people say that. Just want to get that out there. I'm done with that rant. For this year,
Kathy Ireland did it.
Did you see my tweet, by the way?
I did. That's why I said that.
Yeah. So this year, the solution is you got two options, in my opinion.
Yep.
You pick a guy and you ride with them, regardless of what happens moving forward. You ride with them to the end of the year, okay? Because now he knows he's the starter. He's not looking over his shoulder, and he can just be the kicker. That's number one. Or number two, just bench them all and go for 2 from here on out. I don't think that's a good solution, but it's one or the other.
That's not an option.
I agree with you.
Like, I get what you're saying, but
I agree.
You're almost better off doing that. But my personal opinion is they need to just play the freshman. And Vince, I know your stance on him. I get it, but here's why. Find out. Give him the next 4 games where there's no dude. You're the kicker, and we're going to sink or swim with you. And then find out if he can handle it mentally. And if he has some misses because mechanics are still not there, that's fine. Like, his miss is the most, to me, easily recognizable and coachable correction. He just short-legged it and just kind of, drove it out. Like, that's a kid who's not comfortable with his technique right now. Coach him up because he's on scholarship. He's a freshman, and find out what he can do. And if he can't do it, then you go out and find somebody in the offseason. And this is why they need to, at some point in time, find a high school kicker. Because this going to the portal every year for place kickers and not knowing what you're going to get from year to year is for the birds, man.
I agree.
And look, I'll say it again. Marty Biaggi's great at all the trick plays and the gimmicks, and they've been impactful in games. But if you can't get the basics of PAT field goal down in year 3, there needs to be a serious examination of where your special teams is at this point in time. Serious examination. Because I'll sacrifice all those trick plays for a team that can just line up and kick extra points and field goals under 40. And the fact that I've got to hear people talk about, well, it's just, they showed up. It's just one of those things. How come Indiana never has games like this against bad teams? I just watched them go on the road against Maryland and just dog walk Maryland for 4 quarters. But then I got to sit here and watch Notre Dame kind of struggle for 4 quarters. And Indiana wasn't great in the first half against Maryland. They turned it on at halftime. And this team came out second half, basically did the same thing second half what they did in the first half until the defense finally woke up. So, that's the thing is just you gotta figure out an answer in the kicking operation.
Agreed.
And
like I said, and I think they're overcoaching it right now. I think they're 100%. Overcoaching the kicking situation.
100%.
And that does not help guys when it comes to, their mental preparation for the game. Marty Biaggi used to be a kicker. He should know better. Yep. It's inexcusable when you used to be a kicker and this is how you are treating your kickers, right? And again, they can't miss. They shouldn't miss. That's a player problem. I get it. But again, it's between the ears. And I will also say this, and then we can move on to the next thing. The operation isn't great right now because the ball is moving way too much by the holder. He's spinning it at the last second. He's doing a lot of things that make kickers hesitate. And when you hesitate, it throws off the whole thing. And
but
so
it's been happening all year, which means it's not being coached.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The operation is a problem. The whole thing, kicker, holder, snapper, it's all a problem.
As a former holder in college, it's better to kick the laces than to kick a spinning football.
Correct. 1,000%. Yes. And the one that the Diamede kid missed was a spinning football.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not making excuses. I'm saying that the whole operation needs to be fixed. It needs to be coached up because right now it's a disaster.
But again, when something continues week after week after week, year after year, just now 2 years in a row,
right?
That's a coaching problem as much as it is a player problem. You're the one that keeps identifying and recruiting all these players. Every single 100%. Kid in your operation right now has been recruited by you as far as the snapping and the kicking part of it.
Yeah, 100%. Right? And bringing in Burnett, again, the transfer thing, I don't like it. I agree with you on that. And then
they had to this year again because they refused to bring a high school kid in before.
Correct. And they bring in Eric Schmidt, who is an amazing punter, and he's an amazing kickoff guy. He's not a place kicker. And they brought him in thinking that he could do all three. That's poor evaluation.
I will say this, though, with Schmidt. The thought was that he was not going to have to kick this year.
But the fact that they thought he was going to kick at all is a problem.
Well, I mean, again, we don't know that he won't. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and you're a kicking guy, but I've seen guys who couldn't kick well as freshmen who got better. It's like with any other position.
Sure, I get that.
Right? But, like, you shouldn't have been in a situation where Eric Schmidt has to then take over midway through his freshman season. That's my point. And it's your poor evaluation. They say, well, a guy got hurt. Well, okay, well, that's another thing let's talk about. This is 2 years in a row you've had a kicker deal with lower body leg injuries. So either something's in the strength conditioning program, something's going on in your stretching program, or something's going on in your day-to-day routine that's creating these issues. It could be any of those three, and I don't want to say that I know the answer.
It could be any of those things, but what I will say, in the limited amount of time that we get to watch practice, those kids are putting up way too many kicks in practice. That's my opinion. So, again, my opinion.
They got to figure some stuff out, because this is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
They missed 2 extra points.
Right.
And a field goal.
Whatever the solution is, they got to find it. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah.
You guys made such a great point with the place holding. Is that a result of something mental after that Texas A&M game, or was it even happening before that?
No, it's always been there, because it's not like he's not catching the ball and getting it down. It's that he's trying to spin it to where the laces are out. And
he's overdoing it.
Right.
You need to spin it that much.
Right.
It's like a quarter spin. That's all you have to do.
It's a technique thing, Sean, right?
Yes.
To me, that's a great question. That's something you need to ask.
Yes.
But if it was a holding problem, when a holder's getting it in his head, he'll struggle with catching the ball or properly placing the ball. And not so much the spinning thing. I think that's just trying to get the laces in a good place. But, it's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
It's very frustrating.
They got to fix it. I mean, bottom line, they got to fix it.
But
no doubt.
Again, we're sitting at the end of the game, and you had ridiculous penalties and big mistakes in all 3 phases of the game.
This is true.
And you're just not going to win the way you're supposed to and look the way you're supposed to when you're having those kind of mistakes. But yes, I strongly disagree with Marcus Freeman's decision to fake the punt there. Everybody on the planet knew they were faking it right there. There was no way Notre Dame was going to punt the ball from inside the 40-yard line, like, especially with Jeremiah Love on the field.
Right.
And Vince, maybe he had a read. He could have handed the ball. I'm not asking him to make that decision there. Put your offense on the field and let them convert that play.
Right.
They don't have a single DB that can cover a single one of your receivers if they actually run hard, which we'll get to. So line up, and because like me at that point in time, you're clearly okay with your offense, with your defense going on the field if you don't get it there. I want to learn something about my offense in that situation. Not does Marty Biaggi have a 935th trick play that might work? And I'm not even mad at Marty Biaggi for that not working. They're not always going to work. That's part of it. He's been very good in that regard during his tenure. I'm not upset with him about that. What I am saying, however, is I don't care that he's good at that stuff. I want a guy whose teams know how to cover kicks, which his do very well. I want a guy who can create good return teams, which he has done. But most importantly, I need a guy who can develop a kicking operation that can make PATs and field goals with some consistency. And that's my whole point. That's my whole point. I don't want to see that play run there. I want to see your offense line up. Somebody in the chat says, if 40 blocks his guy, it's a TD. If you go back and watch it from the tight copy, 40 doesn't see that guy come out until the very end. He kind of broke off of another tackle, and he was behind Josh Burnham. But the whole point is, who do you trust more to lead block on a 4th and 2? Josh Burnham or Anthony Knapp or Gerby Lambert or Emil Wagner?
You're asking a defensive end to block in space
all the freaking time.
Come on.
That's my point. So it's 4th and 2 inside the 40. BC knew it. I mean, you guys could see how they lined up, that they knew something.
Oh, absolutely. Why would you not key in on Jeremiah Love?
Like inside the 40, where Notre Dame never punts the football.
Right.
Ever.
Correct.
It's like, are you just assuming that this other team is stupid? I mean, I get it. It's Bill O'Brien, so I can understand why you'd have the tendency to maybe think that. But he's not that stupid, usually. So that was frustrating. Very frustrating.
Agreed. All right, so those are our big picture thoughts so far in this game. We are going to flip the switch here on to the offense, but make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends, and of course, give us a 5-star review and jump on the boards at boards@irishbreakdown.com. We definitely want to see everybody over there to join in the discussion because there's going to be a lot of it, and there already has been today. So you definitely want to jump over there at boards@irishbreakdown.com. All right, let's flip it over to the offense, guys, on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel. There's a lot to talk about here because the offense was a little, for lack of a better term, a little schizophrenic today. You didn't really know what you were going to get, but it was very obvious that Notre Dame had better athletes on the field than Boston College did because it looked like backyard football there for a while, where they just draw it up in the dirt and they're like, hey, you run faster than that guy, and we're just going to throw it deep. That happened on more than one occasion in this game. Sean, I'll let you kick things off on the offense. What were your – no, oh, boy, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, I literally texted you that I wanted to start with me on offense because I want to kind of go over how I want to do this here.
Go ahead, Brian. Start us off on the offense.
All right, so check out the text I sent you that says start with me on offense as well. The way I'd like to do this is a little differently this time, guys, is instead of like one of us goes on like a 10-minute rant and then the next one goes on a 10-minute rant, what I like to do is just kind of mix it up a little bit. Let's each kind of go a couple of our bullet points and then go to the next person, because what tends to happen is whoever goes first, especially when it's me, is going to talk for 20 minutes and then a lot of the stuff gets covered. And so this way we're either repeating stuff or you guys don't get to share some things. So I want to kind of go over a couple things each and then just kind of keep going around the horn as we go through this. So that's why I wanted to start with me, Vince, and
yeah, so makes perfect sense.
Busting your chops a little bit, man.
No, it's all good. I can't remember back 20 minutes ago. That's just the problem.
So I mean, I understand to see it. I'm just busting your chops, man.
It's all good.
But yeah, I did want to start on offense, and I'll say this, Sean, the frustrating thing for me is coming right out of the gate. Two things were true. Number one, this team on offense had no urgency, and they never had it the entire game. They had a couple big plays because their guys are way better than BC's guys.
Right.
But it was obvious from Series 1. Jordan Faison jogging off the line when he doesn't think he's going to get the ball. Happened multiple times. Mm-hmm. Multiple times. Trevor said after the one deep ball where he just stopped running that Mike Brown was ripping him. And then you saw KK go on the field after that. That's been happening for weeks. Why are you surprised? And you continue to allow it to happen. Mm-hmm. And Will Paulding is a nice player, but he's just a nice player. And you've tried to turn him into some difference maker, and that's not fair to him. They had the nice touchdown, good route, but missed a big block on a screen pass that either would have gone for first down or got them in a great fourth down situation. Another guy that kind of half the time comes off the line like he doesn't think he's going to get the ball, drops a third down pass on the first drive. The lack of urgency that those two play the game with for much of the game frustrates the heck out of me. And they do some really good things. Both of them caught 40-plus yard touchdowns today. So people are going to look at him like, well, look at the stats. And guys, that's not how I evaluate receivers. If you made a couple plays against one of the worst pass defenses in college football, but you were dragging half the other time, can't catch a ball on third down, jogging off the line because you don't think you're a top target, like, but you know what? He took Faison out for that one series and then put him back in for the rest of the game. You got no other receivers that can give you anything, 5 snaps, 10 snaps. If you don't, that's a coaching problem because there's no accountability. I've been complaining about this for weeks, and today it hurt him. You almost had Will Paulding, a fifth-year senior captain, almost had a pass breakup on Malachi Fields' touchdown because they ran 2 guys at the same spot.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
Right. We're going to break that one down for sure.
Urgency frustrates the heck out of me. And you know, the play calling wasn't Mike Denbrock's best game, but it wasn't a terrible game either. I mean, they threw all over Boston College. The thing that frustrates me is you got your butt kicked up front. And up so, wow, pass blocking was very good. Yes, pass blocking was very good today. It was very, very good against a team who was absolutely, positively playing a game plan that was going to say you are not going to run the football on us today. So I'm not even upset about the fact that they didn't run the ball super well. I'm not, because BC has a terrible run defense, and they knew that if we don't come out and perform well in certain areas, that we're going to struggle to hold up with this Notre Dame team. But what bothered me about it is not so much that Notre Dame didn't run the ball well. It's that they were out physicaled in the run game. That bothered me. I mean, BC ranked 112th in pass defense. They ranked 98th in sacks this season. They have 13 sacks on the season coming into this game. So they're not a very good pass rushing team. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at their numbers over the year, 7 of their 13 sacks came in the first 2 games against Fordham and Michigan State. In their 6 games since, they've had 6 sacks. So I don't want to give you too much credit for pass blocking well against a team that can't rush the quarterback. But the fact is they got beat up front. They had one good run blocked play the whole series. Even one of Jeremiah Love's 10-yard runs, he got hit at the line of scrimmage and had to break 3 tackles. You had one well-blocked run, and on that one well-blocked run, and it was a very well-blocked, Jeremiah Love went for 94. But the fact of the matter is, guys, is when your receivers play the way they do, they set the tone for your entire offense in this game. They basically came out and said, "Hey, we're going to play when we need to, when we want to. We're going to go hard when we have to." And that's just not good enough. And when that's happening and your offensive line physically gets beat, and part of the reason I think they physically got beat, Sean, I'll kick it to you after this is the most schizophrenic rushing offense I've ever seen in my life. Like, one week, it's like, what a great design. Man, they're running counter and running this and they're running that, and they're out leverage them and they're using motions and shifts. And then the next week, it's like, they have no answers. BC was essentially playing a 4-man front, and they were either bringing 2 linebackers up the middle and 2 linebackers in the safety. They were loading the boxes. And Notre Dame had no answers for getting the ball outside. Now, if you don't want to run the ball outside, that's fine. Throw the ball outside. I did a video breaking this down. And Louisville killed them with this. Pitt killed them with this. You had one swing pass for 12 yards in the game to get outside. You did nothing with your run game to take BC out of what they were doing. You had one well-blocked play. You just ran mid-zone and outside zone basically the whole game. You had a couple duos, couple like powers, but nothing that put them in a bind. No pin and pull to just get outside and just make them rethink, just crashing everything inside, attacking A and B gap the whole game. And they didn't do anything with the pass game either. And look, here's the reality of it. The run game was designed by Joe Rudolph. For everybody that wants to talk about Mike Dembrod, the run game gets designed by Joe Rudolph. And I'm just tired of these back and forth performances where USC game, great design. Loved what they were doing in the run game. And then you come out in this game, it's the most dull, boring run game ever, and no in-game adjustments whatsoever to what they were doing. Just ran mid-zone, outside zone the whole game. And so those things, guys, were very frustrating for me. Just a couple of my initial observations that I wanted to be frustrated by. I got some things I'm definitely excited about, but I felt we needed to lead with that because they only scored 25 points. I can talk about C.J. Carr, Jeremiah Love, and how good they are all I want. Malachi Fields, they scored 25 points. What's your thoughts, Sean?
I wrote down 2 things. Your job as a coach, regardless of how much talent you have, is to make the game easy for your players. I don't care if you have Michael Jordan. I don't care if you have Jeremiah Love. I don't care if you have Quentin Nelson and Joe Alt next to each other and Mike McGlinchey at the other tackle. I don't care how talented you are in your position room. Your job is to make the game better for your players and put them in position to out leverage or have an advantage against whomever is trying to stop them. And we did not see that today. You pointed out when I looked at a big picture and I teased it a little bit. It's almost like either it's a layup or it's a 3-point shot. They're giving us outside runs. They're giving us outside swing passes, and we just refuse to take them all day long. The only thing that we took that they were giving us was a deep ball because their safeties were basically 8 to 10 yards.
Oh, yeah, they were linebackers today.
Yeah, daring you to throw it over their heads.
Yeah.
And C.J. Carr, thankfully, seems like he got his accuracy back on the deep ball that he struggled with a little bit, that was a good sign to see him return to that. He missed
one.
Malachi Fields late.
Yeah, he missed the one, but
Yeah, but other than that, he's spot on. You talked about the run game. I'm glad you spoke clarity to where the design comes from, because sometimes coaches, you ask yourself, why aren't you asking these guys to do it? Is it because they can't do it? Or is it because you refuse to coach it? Or you don't really want to coach it and call it? It just begs the question, what's really going on here? Because I think you have athletic guys that can get out in space.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could quick pitch and get to the outside on these guys. But then once again, that goes to beg the question, everything is either from shotgun or pistol. I don't know whose call that is, what's into that. Marcus Freeman was asked about it. He really didn't give a clear answer about it. That's neither here nor there. And the second thing I wanted to point out was break tendency. I said it. This team, they're better than everyone. So when I said they're very easy to prepare for, yeah, because you know what you can do. Boston College knew. Their coach said it twice this week. It's going to be a long day if we don't stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
So you pretty much knew they weren't going to do what USC did. I hope they didn't think, they're going to keep their safeties back 15 yards, 12 to 15 yards like USC did and just let us run the ball. You couldn't have thought that. I know you didn't think that. And after the first drive or the first couple of drives, you could have adjusted, and you still didn't adjust. And it just seems like there is nothing to break the tendency, like a motion or something to hold the linebackers for a split second to make them think, to actually allow what you're trying to call to develop. Especially when your running back is starting from a standstill and shotgun. Like, give them that extra half second that would possibly open up a hole or give them leverage to bounce it to the outside and do some other things and be the athletes that they are. And so those are the two things that I just wanted to point out. Like, it doesn't seem like they're making the game easy for their guys, and it doesn't seem like they're breaking any tendencies. It's like, you just know, we know if they get in this formation, this is what they're running. If they do this, this is what they're running. And I had a chance to talk to Reggie Brooks this week, and he was like, we're in short yardage and we're using a wide receiver to insert. Like, why don't we have 3 tight ends out there? Why don't we just add an extra offensive lineman? Why? It's like, what are we doing? And I love Matt Jeffrey. I promise you. Love the kid. But in short yardage,
They went to 13 personnel, Sean, with Matt Jeffrey in the field, converted to 3rd and 1, and on the next play they fumble the ball.
Yeah,
that's true.
They did do that. But those are the two things I just wanted to point out, man. I just want to see them break tendencies. I think the one time they did break tendency is when they hit Jeremiah in the flat. And he out-leveraged the linebacker there.
Yeah.
That was
see,
a good
Sean,
call.
this is my thing. Like, I did a breakdown this week on the board showing how Notre Dame uses perimeter pass to replace perimeter run. And my whole point is, you don't have to run a toss or a jet sweep or anything like that to attack the perimeter when you have backs like Jeremiah Love and Janarian Price. Do what you've been doing all year. Run swing passes, swing screens, run the little flat routes. They converted a 4th down with a little slide route, and then they had the one swing screen and went for 12 yards. Where was that? Like, look, I don't care if you run the ball 7 times in a game. If BC's going to load the box like that, get Jeremiah Love on a wheel route against one of their freaking linebackers or one of their safeties who's playing at 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. Like that's my thing is I need to see more counter punching from this offensive football team schematically. When teams are doing things to take away what you do, where they don't just sit back and say, well, we were planning on running mid-zone and outside zone all game today, but, they're loading the box and taking that away. Guess we're just going to hope we can break a big one. Like, no, that can't be it. That can't be it. I mean, you rushed for 159 yards on 28 carries. Let's say you ran for 160 yards on 28 carries because you took a knee. Well, I mean, 94 of those were on one carry. So the rest of the game, you ran for 66 yards on 27 carries. Now, again, I know BC's not very good on run defense. They knew that, and they loaded the box. But at the same time, there were things they were doing that I'm sitting here looking at the screen saying, do this. If you run 3 straight swing passes, make BC stop you on 3 straight swing passes. Do something to say we're going to go at this besides just throw bombs. Because the bombs worked for big plays, but you couldn't consistently put drives together because of that. And that was my frustration is I want to see that, more of that, where if they're going to do this, what's our counter punch to that? What's our checks outside of that? Hey, all right, they're doing this. Now we know what they're doing. So, hey, guys, let's do some stuff. Let's do some post-snap switches up the sideline to get somebody for a big play. You ran a slot fade. You ran 1 slot fade and went for 30 yards. Like, can we put Malachi Fields there? And that's another thing I'm frustrated by is I know he had the big play and a couple deep shots, but the fact that they will just sit him in the boundary and let teams kind of bracket him all day and not do more to get him the football blows my mind. Put him in the slot. Let him run a slot fade. Let him do a post-snap switch. Do something where you're doing more to get him the football. But having said that, the pass game obviously was the best part of the game today. And that's obviously a part of it. I mean, go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, that was going to be my big positive is with all the things that you guys talked about and the inconsistency and all of that, CJ Carr had a good game. And he needed to have a good game because I think he had, for him, a subpar last couple games. And so I think he had a good game. He did what he was asked to do. But the offense as a whole, I guess the way I would summarize the offense as a whole, Brian, and you tell me if I'm off here, it felt like a very vanilla game plan that they were just kind of doing a lot of vanilla things. And then when it wouldn't work, they just went over the top to try to go big play. And then they went back to their vanilla game plan. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't sustain drives. There was no, you're right. There was no creativity when it came to the offense. That's a big problem for me. And I realize, okay, you're going into a game against a team who's 1-7, and that's like high school mentality. Like, yes, you can just go out there and probably pound your head against the wall and then go over the top and score a touchdown and win the game. Okay, great. But that's not what we've come to expect from a Mike Denbrock offense and from an offense that has these kind of tools.
Yeah,
that's my biggest issue.
This bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you had 458 yards and you had 25 points.
They were begging Notre Dame to throw intermediate routes and get guys.
Well, no, they were begging Notre Dame to throw the ball outside and over the top. The intermediate stuff they were kind of clogging up with a lot of their guys coming down. There were things they could have done with some of the mesh stuff they did that they could have got guys running, but everything is stationed. We talked about this during the week. Everything is horizontal stretches. They ran a couple of vertical stretches and they got the ball over the top, which I was like, hey, that's great. But like to your point, Vince, it did seem very much like that. I think your overall point is absolutely correct, that there was just no, okay, they want to do this, we got something for you. Yeah, besides just let's throw a post route over the top. Right, I mean, that's
they
great.
knew they could go to a post route pretty much anytime they wanted to. Right. And it was like, okay, well, we're going to just do this. Well, okay, we got to score.
Yeah. So we'll you look at it like, look, there's a lot of good. I mean, 55 plays, 458 yards, 8.3 yards per play. That's really good stuff, guys. But 55.5% of their plays, of their yards, came on 5 plays.
Yeah.
You had gains of 94, 46, 44, 40, and 30 on 5 plays. The rest of the game. So you had 458 yards minus 254 yards, which is what they got on 5 plays. So that means that's 5. Take away the spike, take away the kneel down. So that's 7. So that'd be 48 plays. On the other 48 plays, they averaged 4.3 yards per play. So those are things that kind of get that are frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And and to see the same stuff happening at the receiver position week after week is frustrating, because the way that they handle the rotation, these guys should be perfect route runners and dominant players and doing all these great things, blocking all the time, making all the contested catches, doing all these things because you don't play Cam Williams at all because he doesn't prepare the right way or whatever. But okay, well, what kind of examples being set for him?
Yeah.
When the guy that you don't ever want to take off the field, Jordan Faison, runs half speed half the time. Now, he does some great things the other half of the time, but he hurt your football team multiple times this year with that stuff. Will Paulding has hurt your football team with the jogging off the line stuff. But you basically ruined Jaden Greathouse's entire season, until he was hurt because you had so much faith in this guy that continues to make these same mistakes over and does some great things in other instances. But you're telling me KK Smith is that bad? He's that bad that you can't get him, 15 snaps to just maybe Faison's tired. But when you continue to allow those things to happen week after week after week, that's going to create with your players a situation where coach says whatever he wants to say, but I'm going to do what I need to do to stay fresh for 4 quarters because he ain't going to bench me. That's what happened with I've been complaining about this for years, going back all the way 2006 with Jeff Samardzija. He developed a lot of bad habits in 2006. Why? Because he knew he was never going to come off the field and they were still going to keep throwing him the football. So it didn't matter if he had those bad habits. It would hurt him in some of the bigger games they play. And I like a lot of things that Mike Brown is doing, but the fact is you're allowing these things to happen. Jadarian Price has got to fix some things in the red zone, but where are you as where's the accountability with the staff at some point in time? Every ball that's been ripped out is because he's near the goal line and doesn't have 2 hands on the football. All 3 times. Where are you as a coach? Fix it. That's the stuff that frustrates me. Guys, this is just not a really disciplined, fundamentally sound football team. And I've said that after how many games now?
Most of them.
Inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. And you say, well, they're young. All the guys I just talked about, I'm talking about 5th-year senior, true junior. It's been playing since his freshman year, senior running back. These aren't young guys, fellas. These are guys that have been playing for a minute. Sullivan Absher had some things he's got to clean up today. Joe Wadding's got some stuff he's got to clean up today. I'm going to be more forgiving of those guys who are making their first and second career starts.
Correct.
But the other guys that are making mistakes are vets that have played a lot of football. And when you see that lack of accountability from them, and we saw the same thing on defense, when you see this lack of accountability, and yet then we're going to not play Josh Burnham a whole lot for whatever reason, and then he comes out today, finally gets a lot of playing time, and does what? Dominates. This is an offensive section, but it's across the board. I just am concerned that with this particular team, there's a little bit of a lack of accountability because they don't trust certain guys. Well, you know what? Coach them up and give them that opportunity. Do your job. You're making a lot of freaking money to make sure that Cam Williams can give you at least 10 snaps a game, to make sure that KK Smith can give at least you 10, 12 snaps a game, that Logan Saldate can give you 5, 10 snaps a game. You're making a lot of money to make sure that those guys are prepared. You're making a lot of money to make sure that your offensive line doesn't do this the whole freaking season. You're making a whole lot of money to make sure that your stud running back doesn't fumble 3 times inside the 10-yard line. Players got to step up. Players got to do their job. But at the same time, the leadership that allows certain things to continue to happen, you're either teaching something or you're permitting something. That's everything that happens. You're either teaching it or you're permitting it. And they got to look in the mirror and say, why does this stuff keep happening? And fix it. And I'm not talking about benching Faison. I'm literally saying, I tried to ask Marcus Freeman about this in a press conference, and he didn't like the question very much. I don't care. Well, if they need a breather. Yeah, they need a freaking breather. Do you watch them play? Do you watch them jog off the line half the time because they're pacing themselves because they know they got to play the whole game? Running go routes and post routes and deep routes the whole game? And you've got nobody else that can help you more than 2 snaps a game with KK Smith, who 2 games ago had the best game of his career. Now we haven't seen him. Drew a PI in this game.
I was going to say, he got held. He got held real well. I don't know if
Yeah,
he
he
played
didn't
more
play
than
the
that.
ball
But
great in that situation. He slowed down, but I'm like, well, I've seen Faison and Pauling do that. That's the thing that frustrates me is when we see more accountability for the number twos than we do the number ones. That's not a good precedent to set. So I am frustrated with that, and that's why this team continues offensively to be riding this roller coaster because they're not a very fundamentally sound football team. They don't play with urgency. One guy does. Number 4 does. Because what Sean, when we were critical of Jeremiah Love 2 games ago against NC State, what was it? He was going too fast. He was hitting it too hard. He needed to be more patient. When we're criticizing Jeremiah Love, it's like, dude, slow down. Be more patient. But with a lot of the other guys on offense, it's like, dude, can you just act like you cared on this play? Just please. And if you can't run any harder than that, then you should have tapped yourself out. But I don't know if they have the option of tapping out on at receiver. So
look, just to simply 24 would not have been in the backfield the rest of the game if it were me. Like I knew Jeremiah was going to get most of the carries after that fumble. But dude, Nolan James, Ania, somebody would have gotten the other snaps at the end of the game. Because it's like, what are the consequences? Where are the consequences to mistakes? You talked about Jalen Snead going right back on the field. Where are the consequences? Like, dude, we can't have that. You go ahead, take your helmet off. We're good. We're good. You're going to learn today.
Game was still in doubt at that point in time, Sean.
Yes. Yes. And so the accountability you're talking about, it's like we constantly see. Matter of fact, to really give consequences after the fumble, no, you're not returning kicks. You're not. Hey, who else do we have to return this kickoff? It's like, dude, you have to learn. You can't keep doing that.
That's you said a word there, Sean, that's important. Keep. Because I can live with it. I thought they overreacted a little bit the first time against Miami. I'll admit that. But then it happens again, and now it's happened again. Same thing with Jalen Snead. This isn't the first time he's got a silly penalty or made a mental mistake that hurt the football team. These things have happened before, and it wasn't fixed. And it's not just, I mean, accountability is part of it, but also where's the coaching to make sure? Remember when Audric got yanked against UNLV in 2022? You guys remember that? It's like the third time he fumbled, and Coach McCullough took him out of the game, and we didn't see him the rest of the game. And Logan was like the workhorse the rest of the game. I don't remember Audric having but one fumble the next 2 years of his career. That was against Navy. But it wasn't just that Coach McCullough took him out of the game. They fixed the problem. They coached technique that was causing those fumbles. And so it didn't happen again. So part of it is part of it is accountability, but part of it also is coach this stuff up also, some of this stuff.
And don't you remember Aldrich's last regular season game when Jabron Payne really didn't fumble, but they called it a fumble against Stanford? And he went and got in Aldrich's ear and told Audric, get them together, fix it. So where's that urgency? Because we've seen you treat it the way it needs to be treated. Where's that at? Because this year it just seems very lax when it comes to what you pointed out about the wide receivers. Everybody loves Jadarian Price. But there is a lesson. If you can show that with your best players, that there is accountability, then you teach. Your young players learn from that. They learn from that. Like, hey, when I get my shot, it's ball security. I got to make sure I secure the ball. I can't fumble the ball. And sometimes, man, you just
I do want to talk about a positive though, Sean, because I don't want this to all be negative. Because CJ Carr had a very nice bounce back game from USC. Very nice bounce back game. Wasn't perfect, obviously. A couple deep balls got underthrown, but just very smart with the football today. took the shots when he needed to take the shots, threw with some accuracy. He was clearly aiming the first couple deep balls. He kind of aimed, so they were underthrown. Then he threw a good one to Paulding, and then he kind of put a little bit too much juice on the one to Fields. I think he was so open that he just was like, I want to get this touchdown. But overall, just an outstanding performance from CJ today. Went coming off the worst game of his career, went 18 of 25 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Had a 10-plus yard scramble, and would have had 300 yards if they weren't just trying to ice the game on their last couple of possessions as well. But one coaching point that I need to see Gino Guidugli work on with CJ Carr. This is very important. Teach that young man how to take a dive. He's going to hurt himself at some point in time when he has no concept of how to slide or dive. It looks so brutally awkward.
He got hit in the back. He got hit in the back pretty hard there. Like that looked like it was ice bath worthy after the game, to be perfectly honest.
But just the way he went down, like knees down, like this kid has no idea how to take a slide or how to dive. You got I'm joking, but I'm also being serious. Like, he's going to get hurt one of these days. Like, the way he dove into the end zone against USC last week, I think he got his bell rung a little bit because he's telling all the players he got something. Don't hit me in the head. Yeah, don't hit me in the head. Because I think he hurt his neck, not like got his bell rung like concussion. I think he went like
stinger
this
action. Yeah.
It's like, don't hit me in the head. But that's part of coaching, is teaching a kid how to take a dive. Wow. But other than that, he was outstanding. And Jeremiah Love, the 94-yard one was brilliantly blocked, but such great patience on that play. That's where you see a lot of backs get impatient. You're basically snapping the ball. You got your feet in the end zone. And that's when backs can kind of speed their thought, like, I got to get downhill. I can't get tackled in the end zone.
Was
phenomenal.
Superb on that play.
Right.
Better than the big IU run last year, because the big IU run was just downhill, hit it and go.
Yes.
Like this one was, he pressed, stuck his left foot in the ground, and then got uphill.
He cut behind the backside guard and tackle.
Yes.
On that play.
It was
very nice play side blocks by Sully and Joe Otting on that as well. Knapp had a good one as well. But the backside blocks from Wagner and Lambert were excellent. But Ty Washington might have had the best block of his career at Notre Dame on that particular play, because he reached inside of the DN. The DN, I'd have to go back and look. It might not have been the DN. It might have been an edge backer. But the guy was trying to cross Ty Washington's face to get to Jeremiah on the backside. And Ty worked hard to get his butt inside and keep that guy enough to keep him from closing down on that run. And that guy might have been able to squeeze down and make a tackle for a 4 or 5 yard gain if Ty doesn't get backside and make that block. So that was the best overall blocked play of the day. And then just great patience from Jeremiah on that. But there's a couple other runs, guys, where he had a 9-yard run in the game where he got hit at the line of scrimmage. He was running with physicality. A couple times I thought maybe he could have jump cut away from a guy, but just his physicality in this game was impressive. He had 4 catches for 30 yards, caught a 4th down pass, had some good blitz pickups in the game. Did get beat inside on the first play of the game. Kind of got beat inside a little bit and let one of those pressures get to CJ. Outside of that, his blocking was excellent. But I thought those two played excellent. I thought Malachi Fields played very well today.
Well, since we're kind of rattling off some stats here, I want to kind of go over some of the FanDuel stuff that was out there. We got a couple of over-unders that, I think we all kind of expected Notre Dame to do well offensively against Boston College. And for the most part, they did from a stat standpoint. CJ Carr was at 240 yards. Obviously, he went over that by a good amount, by almost 60. Faison went over his 61. Fields went over his 41. Love, on one play, obviously, ended up going over 115 is where he was at. If he didn't have the big run, probably wouldn't have happened, but he did go over it. And then only Jadarian Price didn't hit his number. He was set at 70, and he had significantly less than that, but a lot of his playing time was taken away after he fumbled, and so that wasn't great. But, again, from a stat standpoint, Notre Dame did well because they big played Boston College an awful lot, and a lot of the guys that I just mentioned were a lot of the guys that big played. So that's why those stats definitely hit. But a good day stat-wise for Notre Dame. I just wanted to bring that up from FanDuel.
individual player stats for sure. The two concerning things from this game, and this is going to continue to be a problem. It's something you and I will talk about in our upon further review tomorrow because it's one of the keys. You went 3 of 10 on third down, only 2 of 4 on fourth down, and then you were 1 and 3 in the red zone. Can't happen. It's just inexcusable against one of the worst third down and red zone teams you're going to play all year. Just, can't happen. BC came into this game, guys, ranked 111th in the country in red zone defense, 118th in red zone touchdown defense, and 77th in third down defense. And I mean, just inexcusable. And inexcusable. And part of the reason they rank even as high as they did is because they held Fordham to 3 of 15. So just inexcusable. Inexcusable that this continues to be a problem. It just goes back to that lack of consistency and urgency that this team has, and the ability, short yardage wise, to just run. I mean, you're running into, like, I don't even blame the offensive line as much today. Like, they didn't get any push up the middle. But part of that was, guys, there's way too many guys there.
Oh, way too many hats in the box to get a good push every time. Yeah.
Seriously, you could run a bootleg and CJ Carr could walk for a first down on some of these plays. I mean, in pistol. Correct. It just, you got to be willing to say, hey, look, there comes a time where it's mono on mono, and then there comes a time where it's like, man, like you got to take advantage of what they're giving you. But
like you said, make the game easy for you guys. Make it easy for your offensive linemen. You have Joe Oddie in his second start, Sullivan Absher in his first career start. Heck, even Owen Strebick got in the game, for his first action. So make it easy for them. You knew they were going to see 8, 9 in the box, and it was crazy. Like when you actually when you could see on the TV copy, and you could see both safeties, like,
all 11 on the
screen. All 11 on TV
first
copy.
And 10.
That's wild. We saw it a lot tonight. We saw it a lot.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, well, that's going to do it for our offensive breakdown, gentlemen. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, share with your family and friends, and, of course, jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. There's going to be all kinds of discussion going on over there, as well as upon further review, where we will break down the film and we will show you kind of what we saw and all those things when we go back and we look at the film. So make sure you check that out, because that is for premium message board subscribers only. So you're going to want to check that out, but you got to be a member. And so you got to jump over to boards.irishbreakdown.com for that. All right, boys, let's jump over to the defense here on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel. The defense had an interesting game, because if you look at it on paper, as one of my buddies is continuing to text me about how the defense played fantastic and all of these things, because they're looking at the stats and just feeding me stats. The defense, in my opinion, and we're going to obviously jump into this more specifically, the defense played well. I wouldn't use the word fantastic. I think that there's a bit of a difference there. Now, they played well. They played very well in certain areas. They also did not play well in some other areas. But at the end of the day, they gave up 10 points. They gave up 12 rushing yards. I get that. They gave up about, I think it was 270 passing yards. When you take away one, you're going to get points in, or get, yards in another. I get that as well. But when you sit down and watch this game, fellas, there were some things that the Notre Dame defense allowed Boston College to do, like, I don't know, a 11.5-minute drive to open up the second half. Not great. So,
hey, Sean, didn't this middle 8 make you feel a whole lot like week 1?
The middle 8 was rough today.
Yeah, it was very rough. It's very rough. But defensively, like you said, Brian, earlier, when they woke up, you saw, like, okay, this is how good they can be. I thought for the most part in the trenches, they got pressure. They ended up with 5 sacks, 3 turnovers. Tay Johnson had 2 on the day. So like you said, when you look at the numbers and then you look at the fact that, they scored 7 in the first half, 3 in the second half, you have to say to yourself, oh, that was pretty good. But yeah, just missed tackles. Mm-hmm. And then, untimely mistakes. And just situationally is very similar to Miami as well, right? Because they But they gave up 27 points to Miami. Okay, field goal came late, but just situationally, at the end of the half to begin the second half, at the end of the game, just question some of the things that they did on the field, and then you question some of the things and situations they were put in as far as the coaches. Now, I will say this. It's funny because I know Lonergan really started because of injury. They weren't sure how low it was going to
James
be.
got a little banged up last week.
Yeah, James got banged up last week, his hip. But even with that, I think their best chance was Lonergan was never going to give them the best chance to win, right? In my opinion. And so I think the game did kind of shift when they went away from Lonergan. And so I think maybe there was an adjustment or some hesitancy because they expected the quarterback run maybe a little bit more despite his injury. But it was just one of those it was just a weird game, like the day after Halloween. It was just really weird. Like you're watching it and it looks like they're playing really good. They're getting good pressure. They're stopping the run. But then, Leonard Moore just falls down trying to run with the guy. It ends up in a touchdown. It was just one of those weird games where you just say to yourself, defensively, in my opinion, more than offensively, I'll say, because Brian, I'll let you break it down because I'm sure you have some bullet points for things that were missed. It was just one of those things where you say to yourself, we just got to hang in there and keep banging at it. And then finally they woke up and they began to do what they needed to do. I still am worried about
finally allowed to do what they needed to.
That's, I'm glad you said it, but it still baffles me when they do call zone. How is the middle of the field, 8 to 10 yards, just so wide?
Because they just,
with no one closing on the pass catcher. I'm like, it just blows my mind that the linebackers are like 12 to 15 yards down the field. Like no one's settling and forcing the quarterbacks to layer throws and throw this. It's man, look, I'm confused because all they did was late release their tight ends coming across the field. They were just killing them with it all night, especially in certain situations, and those are the things that stood out. But other than that, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. I thought the defensive line got good pressure all night.
The defensive line played great.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got good pressure all night.
They weren't perfect. Donnie Heinrich has got to finish on a sack, but it was a great pressure. They kind of, I think they ended up throwing it away, so it's not going to hurt them. Just there was one time late in the second quarter where they should have had a sack and didn't, and that ended up being a big play. But part of the reason they weren't able to close is because they went back to, like, you remember Chris Ash said, and I went off on him. I was like, dude, you're lying. When he said, we're doing the same stuff, we're just better at it. Today was an example of that's what that looks like.
Yes, correct.
That's what you're doing, the crap you did from the first 3 games, but your players are a little better at it now. And you played a team that stinks.
Yeah.
But what we told you was, if you play the way you played then, we warned it during the week on our shows, guys. Sean, I know you listen to our show when you're not on because we always talk about it. I warned them. I said, if you do this receiving core can hurt you. These are good receivers. It's a good tight end, and they hurt them, Notre Dame, in the pass game a little bit today. You didn't have Christian Gray. They chose to sit Christian. He went through warmups. I think that was a wise decision because you can clearly beat this team without Christian Gray. Let him get healthy. But like early on, I mean, they were where they needed to be early on. You had some mistakes. I mean, you force a 3rd and 3 on the first drive and or third, and it was, what was it? 3rd and it was the second drive. You force a 3rd and 12 and no, what was it? 3rd and 5. And they run a quick out cut. You should be off the field for a second straight 3 and out. And Devontae Smith just misses a tackle. That's one I could hammer Chris Ash or Mike Mickens, whoever. That's a 5th-year senior that's just got to make that play.
Yep. Yep.
He's just got to make that play. But what we saw a lot of in the second, third quarter is a reverting back to the soft zones that were allowing BC's players to get free releases and get into open spots, and it negated the pass rush. It took away the pass rush as much as it could have been. If they would have kept with a bit more of a aggressive type of coverage scheme, zone and man, then they might have been more effective. And then there was the play on third down. I think it was second half. They had a third down call. I almost lost it. And I'm glad you guys didn't have to listen to that. But what was the play? They got believe they got a score. It was on the first drive, I believe. It was no, I'm trying to find it here. But it was the I think it was on let me find. I can't find it. But there was a play defensively. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it either. That's another play they had a blown coverage. Is a play was a third down. I thought it was a third down, and they dropped Boubacar Traore to the field, and he was responsible for a tight end. They were in man coverage. Dropped Boubacar to the field. He had no clue what he was doing. He clearly didn't know what he was supposed to do. That's obviously, you got to coach him better. But why are you dropping Boubacar Traore on that particular play? I'm going to try to find the particular play that I'm talking about. You guys remember it's 3rd and 4. It's the first drive of the second half. 3rd and 4. And you drop Boubacar into the flats and let them convert a 21-yard touchdown because he didn't cover the guy. I've said you can drop Boubacar in coverage into the boundary when he's playing flats. You don't drop him to the field and then you're shocked he doesn't know how to, who to cover. That's and not only that, that's your best pass rusher. Why is he not rushing the passer on third down? Because you're trying to get cute again. Because we're going back to how it was early in the year because you're playing a bad team that you think you can just go out there and show everybody how smart you are. And there's a little bit too much of that today. Now, the numbers look great, though, guys. I mean, the run defense was dominant because BC, here's the number of offensive linemen at Boston College that can block Jared Dawson. That's the number right there. It's a big fat 0. He was dominant tonight when he was on the field. Yes, he had the jump off sides, and he can't make that's a mental mistake. But I'll forgive that because he was so flipping good the rest of the game. I mean, the first drive of the game was the Jared Dawson show. I mean, they couldn't block him tonight. And I just thought overall the edges were very good. Bryce Young had a very good night against the run on the edge, just really being forceful, funneling everything back inside. And the run defense continues to be outstanding, guys. I mean, they really shut BC's run game down, held them to 12 net yards. But, okay, yeah, that's sacks and stuff. Well, Turbo Richard had 26 yards on 16 carries. Their backup running back had 4 yards on 3 carries, and Dylan Lonergan had 3 yards on a scramble. So Turbo averaged 1.6 yards per carry. Jordan McDonald averaged 1.3 yards per carry. They gave up 0.4 yards per play. That was outstanding football. And they were quite good in those areas, but also Drake Bowen was an absolute animal tonight. So was Kingston. Like the two of them especially were absolute dogs as well. And Drake was very physical coming downhill against the run. Kingston was very good coming down against the run for the most part. I thought those two guys were incredibly impactful on top of the offensive line. So that is one thing that was an improvement over earlier in the year is even though they were playing more of a passive defense, the linebackers, when they saw run, really flew downhill nicely and attacked the run game and blew it up. So, I mean, that part was part coaching. There's no bad run fits, no blown run fits in the game, which was good. The only concern I have about the run game from this game was they could not stop BC with any consistency on 3rd and short and 4th and short. BC had 2 conversions on 4th down with runs. And the only time you stopped them on 4th down, really, on a 4th and short, was because they tried to throw the ball, to which I think I said to you guys, did they not watch the USC game? Like, that's not what you want to do. So that part was frustrating. But overall, the run defense was outstanding in this game. You just gave up too many easy throws in the pass game. I thought the D-line played great today, guys. I thought Tay Johnson was pretty active today. I just think that this is not a great zone team when they play it as much as they played it in the middle 8 today. and seeing them revert back to that style of play concerned me. Because, yeah, it worked against a team that stinks, but you still gave up 269 passing yards to Boston College.
And they just gave it up to them. Like it was like they allowed that to happen because of the way that they were playing. And it was very reminiscent of the way the defense has played, or the way the defense played at the beginning of the season from a scheme standpoint, which I don't understand, because the guys that you have playing in your defensive secondary are way better than the guys that Boston College was throwing out at wide receiver.
No, not way better. I'll disagree with you there. That's a good receiving core, but they're better.
I would still go head up with them.
Sure, no doubt. But like, I just want to say, like, Notre Dame's DBs are more talented than BC's receivers and tight ends, but that's still a good. I mean, we said that during the week. Lewis Bond, who actually didn't even do that much in this game, and I'll say this: the time he beat Dallas Golden, that's a coaching thing because they continue to give up the inside on slants and stuff like that. That's a scheme thing. Number two, that was a pass interference on that should have been pass interference on Lewis Bond. He got to Dallas and shoved him and then beat him inside. So, yeah, it's a little easier to convert a third down when you're allowed to shove the guy off of the route. And then they also got bailed out by the officials on that Josh Burnham sack. That was absolute garbage. That was not a face mask.
So bad.
Not if you think he grabbed the face mask, but you couldn't see it, then you don't throw the flag.
That was so bad.
That was an absolute garbage call. And speaking of defensive linemen, Josh Burnham was an absolute monster today.
Got a lot of playing time, too.
Guys, he's been doing this all year.
How'd that work out?
He's been doing it all freaking year. It's just he didn't play a whole lot. So he'd have like one tackle, two tackles, one tackle for loss. Again, he played 10 snaps. Imagine what he'd do with 30. He'd have 6 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. Well, guess what he did tonight? 3 tackles for loss and a sack. And had another sack called back off a bogus penalty.
Terrible. Which extended a drive because that was 4th down. That was the 11-minute, 20-second drive, which still would have been 9.5 minutes, but at least you wouldn't have given up any points because they ended up giving up a field goal there. It's just absolutely terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, they were not helped by the officials. Vince, you and I disagreed a little bit on the fumble that was overturned. I don't think the guy ever had full possession, but you knew that they were not going to give that to Notre Dame.
No chance that was going to happen. None.
So
I think I was resigned to the fact that that he had possession because I knew that was coming back.
But I thought Drake was a monster today. Kingston was great today.
Linebackers, I think, played
was
pretty
very
well.
good. Adon Schuler had one bad play and one other shaky rep today in coverage. But in other times, he's given up routes and people. I mean, his PFF numbers are not going to look good because he's covering out cuts from 12 yards deep. There's not a safety on the planet that's going to get to that. He did a good job driving downhill, tackling as soon as they caught the ball. But in zone coverage, he was very good, had the pick. He also tipped the ball that Tay caught on the first pick, which was great concentration. Tay did a great job on the second pick. So the reason the defense was dominant today, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Chris Ash, I just don't think it had a whole lot to do with his play calling. But I'll say this. Defensively, they were pretty prepared for all the different things that BC was going to do, though. And that's where I'll give Chris Ash and the staff credit. These guys were prepared for what BC was going to do, but the play calling did not always put them in position to dominate the way that they did, and they still had a dominant performance. 12 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 3 interceptions, a forced fumble, 7 pass breakups in the game. That's incredibly disruptive. And that's the only reason they dominated this game. Is because how just the individual players on defense were brilliant tonight. Drake Bowen, brilliant. 14 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack. Kingston Viliama-Asa, brilliant. But also had another one of those undisciplined penalties.
So,
now,
I want to talk about that real quick.
Kingston was going through it for his throw slash?
I don't.
No, but you can't. If you
can't give them the option, you can't do anything close to that.
Exactly.
And give those refs a chance to say that you're doing something that is not allowed. It was a difference of 2 inches. I get it, but don't do it.
Kingston is not throat slashing there.
No,
but as an official watching that live, he goes like this.
Yeah, you can't give him that.
It's too close.
You can't give him that chance, man. Like that's my biggest issue. Don't give it to him. Do it on the sideline. There was somebody tweeted out, that the sideline version of it. Do it on the sideline.
Right.
Don't do it on the field. Yeah, don't give him that.
So just a young guy mistake. He won't make that again.
Sure.
Kingston's the kind of young man that won't make that kind of mistake a second time.
Agreed.
But
Absolutely
outside
agreed.
of that, he played his tail off. Him and
Yes, he
Drake
did.
were outstanding together side by side today, and at times when they weren't on the field together. So many great individual performances. Tay Johnson, Don Shula was outstanding. Josh Burnham was outstanding. Boubacar was really good. Except, I thought Boubacar at times allowed BC to get in his head a little bit.
Yeah.
Jared Dawson was brilliant in this game today. Luke Talich had a great fourth down pass breakup in the game in a big moment. So a lot of good individual performances, and they seem to be prepared for some of the gimmicky things and situational things that BC was going to do. They didn't always execute great, but overall, I think the defense played their butts off. Physically, I still think they also had plenty of their share of mental mistakes and just not being disciplined.
Yeah.
In some very important situations.
And early on, the tackling wasn't great, which I have an issue with.
Which to me is a discipline thing.
Yeah.
That's like, dude, you know what to do.
Correct.
Do your job.
Right.
Devontae the first time. Next time it was Jalen Stroman. Yeah.
Yeah, too many missed tackles for a team that shouldn't be missing tackles at this point. And I realize you're coming off of a bye, and I get all of those things. But, again, they played Boston College. It didn't hurt them. But you can't miss those tackles on third down that give you a first down and those kinds of – they're drive extenders, you know what I mean? Open field tackling, got to make those plays. And it's not like Notre Dame can't make those plays. They absolutely can.
Yep.
They just need to. So that was a little bit disappointing.
I think the fact that we did not hear Mark Zachary's name a lot speaks to, I can't wait to look at the film, but I like the fact that he played pretty well, in my opinion. Also, I think on the second interception, Adon's interception, Dallas Golden had fantastic coverage. He really forced that interception. Fantastic coverage. And he had fantastic coverage a couple other times. So when you talk about teams like BC having good wide receivers, and they had a game plan to go after Mark Zachary and to go after Dallas Golden. And for that the only one you can really pass you can really remember was the pass that is questionable whether or not it could have been offensive pass interference on that third down.
I thought so. What did you guys think?
No.
I mean, there was an extended shove before he breaks inside. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah, the only reason the shift where the tight end came in on third down and they just blew the coverage. I think it was Mark Zachary on the inside that ran with somebody when he should have been out in the flat. Yeah, that switch release, they got that absolutely wrong. But other than that, the youngsters, they played well, which is going to bode well, right? Because I'm assuming that they will want to have a veteran on the field going up against Navy in their attack. So that's why they probably
I don't think we'll see the nickel hardly at all. We didn't see the nickel last year much.
Last year at all, yeah.
And when you're as good as you are at linebacker, there's nothing that Jaden Osbury can't do against a slot that against Navy that nickel can do.
It's not a nickel game at all.
Yeah. And you talked about the linebackers, but I just want to tip the cap. Hey, man, Luke Talich made 2 big plays today.
Yeah.
Massive.
2 big plays today.
Yeah.
Luke Talich showed up today and was really good. So, overall, man, there are a lot of bright spots on defense on all 3 levels.
Yeah. When I think that I'll give Chris Ash credit for this. When the game got tight at the end, he went back to what he should have been doing the whole game, and it put the game away.
Yeah.
And I just hope that it's further evidence to him that, like, hey, man, this is who you should be all the time. This is who you need to be all the time. Like, I'll never understand why defensive coordinators, when there's like 2 minutes left and a half, will go away from what's worked the whole game. Like, this is not a team that's going to run by you. Why play soft there and give them those easy plays? Like, I'll never understand it. Never. I've been complaining about this for years, and it's almost every time that in a situation like that it happens. I'll never understand that. Because if you don't give up that late second quarter drive, this game is very different, fellas. It looks very different, in my opinion. So I can't stand that. And that's not just on Chris Ash, because Al Golden did this all the time too. And that's something that Marcus Freeman allows his defensive coordinators to do because he's a defensive coach. And I'll never understand. Like, it's one thing if they get the ball at their own 25 with 35 seconds left. But when there's over a minute left and they've got timeouts, why are you playing off coverage there? Heat them up. Do what you've been doing to dominate that whole game. Vince, I think going into that drive, didn't they have something like 30-something yards of offense or something crazy
35.
like that? Going
35.
into that late second quarter drive, you had been eating them alive until
35.
that point.
It was 260 to 35 was the yardage difference.
It was 180.
180, excuse me. That's right, 180 to 35. Because I had texted that exact thing to somebody else, which is why I remembered that it was 35. I mean, it was night and day, but the score didn't reflect that, obviously, with the way things were going. But yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I just and I think that and then coming out in second half, just know it, that was the worst drive of the game. But I thought the D-line got pushed around a little bit. I have multiple times, bad D-line push. But I also thought, you had the blown coverage. You gave up two fourth down runs to convert. You give up it's 3rd and 11, and so you go off coverage and they complete an 8-yard slant to get in position for a fourth down try. And then Josh has the sack, which should have ended the drive, and then you have the terrible penalty. So, yes, BC was helped by the officiating, but you allowed them to get all the way down there and convert 2 previous fourth downs. But after that, I thought the defense kind of buckled down and was pretty good the rest of the way. Actually, no, it was later that next series they got another drive together, and then when they had the interception, when Adon's interception, that's the last of BC really threatening Notre Dame, I felt.
Yeah.
But for about 3 drives in a row, BC was moving the ball right down the field on Notre Dame. And it was all going back to it was playing a lot of that soft zone, no hands-on, no reroutes, no looking up routes. And it's just that philosophy that Chris Ash this is why I say that's ultimately what he wants.
Yep.
And if Marcus Freeman had any doubt about whether or not that's what Chris Ash wants, this game should have shown that. Why you got talent like that at linebacker on the D-line and in the secondary, and you're going to decide against 1-7 Boston College, who can't run the football, save their life, that you're going to play that mess behind your D-line? Could you imagine the numbers they would have had today up front if they would have played secondary coverage the way that they did against NC State and Boise State? They'd have had 9-10 sacks, guys. I'm being dead serious. If they would have done that. But that's not who Ash wants to be.
Yeah, which is still mind-boggling considering we've seen the success that this defense can have when you play it aggressively. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, any more points we want to make on the defense?
Sean, you got anything else?
Okay.
I that is the side of the ball that I think when they were allowed to, played really hard all game. They were undisciplined. That was frustrating. There were some schematic things, but the players on defense whooped BC's butts today.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I mean, they only had 15 or 10 points. I mean, and 3 of those were
a turnover near the red zone, and
for
but
sure.
yeah, to your point,
3 of
that
those
was
points
more.
were
To me, that was
given
more
to by the ref.
coaching.
Yeah,
that was the more, like we said, that was the coaching stuff that I thought set up that. I thought the defensive players from the beginning of the game played their tails off. They played hard. They were fast when they were allowed to be. You just had some dumb mistakes, some immature mistakes that hurt you. And then one terrible officiating call. I still can't believe they called that a face mask on Josh Burnham. It was so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
But he played his absolute tail.
And then on TV, they tried to say, well, he got his hand in the back of the helmet.
That guy didn't even believe it. You could hear him talking. He didn't believe it.
He
didn't believe. He said that with no conviction whatsoever.
None.
He's just trying to protect the officials.
He's just trying to make stuff up. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never seen a face mask called from behind. Anyway.
All right. I'm sorry. I saw something in the chat said there's no reason Drake Bowen should be playing more than KVH straight favoritism at this point. This is not the game to be making that point, guys. No. I like seriously. First of all, half of KVA's production came as an edge rusher. First of all,
correct.
The best linebacker on their team is Drake Bowen. If you want to be arguing that Kingston should be playing more, that's fine. We agree with that. He should be playing next to Drake.
Correct.
He had 14 solo tackles. Drake Bowen did
14
2 tackles for loss and a sack.
Right,
guys, come on.
Pass defended as well. pass breakup as well.
Yes.
That was a big pass break. That was really good pass defense by him as well. Yeah. Yes, I agree. So,
like, honestly, you're kind of doing what you think the coaching staff is doing. You like Kingston more, so you keep finding reasons to justify saying he's better than Drake. He's not. They're the two best linebackers on the roster.
Both be playing.
They should be playing side by side more.
Correct.
And then let Jaden Osbury be that guy that kind of plays a little bit of both. I would shorten the rotation if it was up to me. I'd take more snaps away from Jalen Sneed. He just, as a senior still, he makes too many of those same mistakes. Not just the penalties, but the bad run fits. You know, the slant route, he doesn't get out in coverage at all on the early third down slant route. You can't do that. You can't do that. And with all due respect, some of the takes say, Brian, come on, box score tackles do not tell us. Bro, I just watched the damn game.
I watched 34 all over the field.
I watched him just dominate for 60 minutes.
Brian, this is it. This is somebody. This is someone or people.
And Chris H is great.
I don't want to isolate. This is when people.
But you're wrong here.
This is when people get mad, but not understanding that Notre Dame is literally taking advantage of everything Kingston can do.
Yes.
And allowing Drake to do what he does.
Right.
That's what coaches are literally supposed to do.
Great together.
That's literally what they're supposed to do. We can have both of these guys on the field at the same time. We can move Kingston around. We can put them on the edge, on the line, coming in certain plays. We can allow them to play in space and blitz. And then Drake can be he's the best quarterback. He's the best leader.
Best Mike on this football team.
He's the best Mike that knows all of that. Let him do that because no one does it better than him.
Right.
It's the perfect marriage of both of those guys' talents. And why what are we complaining about?
Yeah.
They're both playing the best football they've played at Notre Dame. Why do we keep trying? Why is there a need to pit them against each other?
I don't get that.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't
Why?
get that.
You have two really good players at linebacker.
Vast majority of Kingston's best plays this year. 90+% of the good snaps that Kingston's had this year have come at Will or on the line, not at Mike. You could argue that Kingston's the better overall linebacker. Like, we could have that debate.
Yes.
But he's not the best Mike. And it's not close.
And you don't need to even have that. I mean, we can have it, but we don't even need to because you can put them both on the field at the same time.
Limit Jalen Sneed's snaps. Give Jaden Osbury some of those snaps and let those three guys go to work.
Yeah.
That's what it should be for
Notre Dame's not running a 4-1. Like, you can have both of those guys on the field at the same time and be really good.
Drake was a monster today. Like, I just
But box scores, that's not a thing.
It's not the box score, bro. The box score backs up what we saw on film, which is Drake. I mean, I'd encourage you to rewatch the game without sort of this bias that you have in your head about Drake and Kingston. Just watch the game and watch Drake all over the freaking field today, crashing the run, in coverage, getting people set and lined up. And then watch Kingston ball out as a Will and on the line of scrimmage, because you are correct, Sean. They have done a tremendous job of saying Kingston can do a lot. Let's allow him to do a lot. And then you don't always know where he's going to be. And that makes him harder to defend. But as we've said, those are your two best linebackers. And Jaden Osbury would be starting for a lot of pass. Yeah. Jaden Osbury is a starting linebacker for the 2018 team. Jaden Osbury is a starting linebacker for the 2020 team. Jaden Osbury starting, in my opinion, junior version of Jaden Osbury might be starting on the 2012 team next to Manti. He's a heck of a player. He just happens to be at a time when, kind of like Kenny Minchie quarterback, where the two guys in front of him are dudes. And, but yeah, Anyway, just needed to have that conversation.
It's awesome. It's good. It's a good problem to have that you had two really, really good linebackers on your team that you can actually play at the same time, which is awesome. Okay, so that's going to do it for our defensive breakdown, everybody. Make sure you jump on the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. Make sure you like and subscribe. We really appreciate that as well. And we will get to our Upon Further review tomorrow and Monday. and we will put that up for our board members. And so you want to check that out. If you're interested in watching some film with us and breaking it down and all of those different things, you definitely want to join the boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com because that is where all of that will be. And there'll be additional video breakdowns as well as Brian goes back and checks out the film and shows you guys what is going on, because that is the breakdown of Irish Breakdown. And that's what we do here. And we love having everybody around. And once again, this is the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel. So thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. We have a bunch of super chats that we are going to get to as well. And so hang in there. And again, if you want your comment or question read in post-game shows, we got to do it as a super chat. Otherwise, we would literally be here all night long, which is not a terrible thing. But we do value sleep as well. So, and we want to watch some good college football because there's a bunch of good games going on right now as well.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. But we do have some super chats to get to, guys. So, Brian, why don't you pull those up and we will get after it. From John Emerson, thank you so much for the super chat. Glad for the win, but that was the sloppiest game I've seen in a long time.
It was.
We agree.
It really was. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that very much. Joe, thanks, Joe. Appreciate you very much. This feels like a loss. The O-line needs to wake up. Carr was less than impressed. I disagree with
Compared
that.
to who? Tom Brady?
Yeah.
In his prime? Like,
Right.
bro.
My fear is that with Miami's loss, this is totally unimpressive win. We can kiss the playoffs goodbye. It's November 1st.
This is a dramatic overreaction,
Relax,
Joe.
man.
And Joe, I love you. You are the king of dramatic overreactions. And you know that because you've said that. So
He
I'm not
does.
saying anything personal. You've said
Right.
that. It didn't feel like a loss to me. It felt like a missed opportunity.
That's
is
a
what it
really
felt
good.
like.
That's a really good
Yes.
way to put it. Yeah.
O-line needs to be more physical. CJ Carr was very impressive. If this didn't impress you, then I don't know what will.
Right.
But Miami lost to an unranked team today, and Notre Dame beat an unranked team today. So, yeah. Brian Howard, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I'm going to go back and see if he had a question. But
Okay.
Brian, if you did have a question that we didn't bring up because it didn't go, sometimes it doesn't stick to your super chat. Go ahead and put that up for us, and we'll try to get that up.
Brandon Plensner, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you very much. So much for self-scouting during the bye week. The coaching staff should have scouted themselves, this squad. These coaches are not winning out, not a playoff team.
Again, I think that's an overreaction. I mean, who is a playoff team? I just watched Georgia barely beat a bad Florida team, and that
They
fired
scored in
their
the
coach.
last 3 minutes of the game to win that game.
Yeah. I just watched Miami go on the road and lose to a team that lost to Wake Forest last week.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech's getting beat right now by a team that Notre Dame beat by 29 and didn't even play that well. Like, I think sometimes we can be very critical of the team, which we were today, and then not jump off a cliff and make it something that it wasn't.
Right.
If they play like this in other games, they will lose. But there's also games, if Pitt plays like they did against West Virginia and Louisville, they'll get killed by Notre Dame. I mean, Pitt beat Stanford by 15 today. Stanford and BC aren't that different. So I think this is an overreaction. I'm very frustrated by the game today, but this is about this game.
Right.
We saw this team play very poorly for a half against Purdue, and we were pissed about that. And then the next week had 42 by halftime against Arkansas. It was a way better team than Boston College. Like, I'm frustrated by this team's lack of maturity and some of the leadership. And I think that might put a ceiling on this team that's not as high as it should be.
Fair.
But that's more about the playoff run. Could they get beat by somebody else? Yes. Does this game dictate that they won't win out? Who's going to beat them? The Syracuse team that got dominated last night by North Carolina? The Navy team that got their butt kicked by North Texas? The Stanford team who's 3-6 on the season and lost to Pitt today by 15 points. Pitt, could Notre Dame lose to one team? Sure. I mean, anything can happen. But if they play like they did today against everybody not named Pitt, they win every game except the Pitt game, and the Pitt game might be questionable. Maybe. But that's not the standard, though. The standard for us is not is it good enough to beat Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford? That's not our standard. It never has been. It's will today's performance be good enough to beat Ohio State? And absolutely not. But I also saw Ohio State only winning by 3 at halftime against a team that fired their coach and hasn't won a Power 5 game all year. So, like, I just think sometimes we have these reactions and we act like this is only happening to Notre Dame. I just watched Alabama need a choke job by South Carolina to go on the road and beat a very mediocre South Carolina team last week. This happens to everybody. And today it happened to Notre Dame. That's not okay. I'm not justifying it. Our whole show was not justifying it. But I think some of these kind of comments go a little bit too far. This one's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, that Purdue team is only losing by 4 to Michigan. Right. I just want to throw that out there. And South Carolina is only losing by 3 to Ole Miss. So there's a lot of really good football going on right now, or at least close games. I don't know about good football per se. But anyway, thanks, Chris. Appreciate the super chat.
Yep, not happy. Me neither.
Yeah, no doubt. Charlie Weiss's last belt loop. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, IB. I contacted Walmart and all milk cartons with Fields' face on it have been put away. This is a very rough outing. It's weird being upset with a win. I really think ND has a lot to clean up coaching on down. Marcus Freeman to kicking. Yeah, no, could not agree more. Could not agree more.
But Sean, wouldn't you say, isn't that the standard for Notre Dame? I mean, like, honestly, do you think if Lou Holtz was coaching his team, like, do you think Marcus Freeman sitting in the locker room happy? Hey, guys, we got to win. That's all that matters. Do you think that's how he feels? Do you think Mike Denbrock is sitting at home right now or on the plane right now? I'm like, man, that was a great performance by our offense. I coached my butt off today. Not a chance. Probably the only guy that feels that way is Chris Ash.
Sorry.
You think Marty Biagi's like, I'm totally fine with how the kicking operation is going. No, he's more pissed about it than we are. Look, if you know Marty Biagi at all, he's not happy with what's going on. What I don't know enough about him is, like, will you own
Can you own it and then fix it as well? Right. Yeah.
But do you think he's happy? Do you think Marty Biagi's like, well, it's not my fault, coach. It's like it's these players. I promise you that's not Marty Biagi's attitude today. And that's not our attitude, and it never has been. If Brian Kelly was the head coach after a game like this today, we would have hammered him. And why should we not hold Marcus Freeman to that same standard just because we like him? Why should we? As a matter of fact, we should hold this team to an even higher standard because this team is really talented.
Yep. Oh, one of our best names out there. We love this one. Lord Dern's Jurassic Park shorts. Thank you for the super chat. They were just testing some things out, right?
Sure.
That
helps you sleep better at night. I'm all for that, buddy. They were testing out. So what would our defense look like if we went back to doing what we did against Texas A&M and Purdue?
What would the offense look like if we just ran up the middle against 9 guys in the box?
Right.
Just curious.
Right. Yep.
Hunter Hall, thank you very much for the super chat. What does Freeman have to do to get these guys back to being disciplined? And why is the coaching so bad this year? It's like we had a huge turnover. Anyway, go Irish and keep pushing.
Thoughts on that, Sean?
You know, it starts with him. Like, discipline starts at the top, right? And Marcus Freeman has been one of those head coaches that has always talked about allowing his positional coaches to actually coach. And his players have been encouraged to go to their positional coaches if they have issues and questions. And so 2 positions that we talked about today, where we question whether or not, there's, discipline or accountability, wide receiver and running back, right? And I think over the next week or 2, we'll see. But I think it goes back to something that you said since you've been saying for the last 4 weeks about the amount of reps that our top 2 wide receivers have put on their legs. And, did the bye week give them a time to kind of re-energize, refresh themselves? But going into this long season, we're talking about possibly 8 more games if they do indeed make another run to the national championship. So, I think the accountability for that discipline, I think this coaching staff needs to become more disciplined in the way they deal with, the issues, the way they go about making sure that they're taken care of in practice and making sure that they do their jobs to put this team and the players in the best position they can be in to, make them better. Right now, it just seems like, Brian, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not saying this is the case, but you just get the feeling like, man, we just want to get through these last 4 or 5 games and we just want to get to December. We just want to get to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like they know they're better than everybody else on the schedule. It's like, man, we just get to the playoffs. And it's like, no, there is attention to detail that needs to take place beyond the X's and O's, like these things that keep happening over and over again, the disciplinary things that keep happening. These things need to be coached over and over again on a daily basis. Running your route as if you are going to get the ball needs to be coached on a daily basis. And we don't expect, you play wide receiver, I don't expect every wide receiver to run hard on every play. They're going to be probably
Nor
one or
should
two
you
plays.
ask that. Yeah. Well, that's because you ran a triple option, Vince.
That's right,
It's
baby.
literally your only job was to go downfield and block every play as hard as you could.
Every play, baby.
Yeah, but there has to be a stand. I think the point you made with what example are you setting for a Cam Williams, for a KK Smith? Like, what example are you setting in that room if you're allowing certain guys to get away with certain things?
Right. That's the thing. Sean, we saw a team last year that waited until the playoffs to figure it out. And that team went and won a title. So it's not too late in the season to fix it. You just hope. But what they can't do is Notre Dame's not in a position where they can afford a November loss like Ohio State did before they fix it. And Sean, I do think I haven't really thought about that. That's a great point in that could it be this team is too focused on the postseason and not focused enough on now?
That's a problem.
Like, I kind of get it, though, because that's what the standard is for this team. That's what their expectations are. That hurt Ohio State last year. I think that Ohio State kept just waiting for wait till the postseason. And that got them beat by a 6-5 football team. Or
whatever they were.
6-5, yeah. Because they beat Ohio State and then to go to 7-5 and then won their bowl game to go 8-5. Yeah. But Notre Dame can't afford that kind of slip up. So hopefully this is the game that kind of is the wake-up call for them and gets them to be like, hey, guys, we can't just go roll the ball out there and keep doing what we're doing. We have to be more disciplined. And yeah, there's some coaching things need to happen too, but some of that stuff has to happen in the locker room. Hey, fellas, we can't do that. Can't do that. Hey, Kingston, we know what you meant, man. We know you would never do a throat slash in the middle of a game. We know that. But, bro, you can't even do that because we just got to be smarter. We can't even give the officials a chance.
Exactly.
To do that. Like, that's a lesson my dad taught me. Like, I did something one time and I got in trouble and I was like, but I didn't do anything wrong. And my dad was like, but you put yourself in that situation where somebody that was looking for something.
Exactly.
You then gave them the ammo. I'm like, but I didn't do what they're accusing me of doing. He goes, yes, but you knew you shouldn't have been even in the situation that you were in. And so that's on you. That's the lesson my dad taught me. It wasn't. I mean, now, in my heart, I believe that my dad knew I was being railroaded. But his goal wasn't to protect his son in a situation where he couldn't really protect his son. His goal was like, let me teach my son.
You got to learn
a life lesson.
You got to learn from
so that next time you don't put yourself in that situation. And that's where I'm coming from on this. But like that's where leadership has to come into play. And you know that Kingston feels terrible about that because he's not the kind of guy that is like he is a team player. They all celebrate after making a big play. I celebrated after making a big play. I talked trash a ton when I played ball. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when you make that kind of mistake, you learn from it and you fix it. So you live with some of that stuff, but you can't keep doing those type of things as a team, even if it's not always the same guy. And that stuff where leadership's got to step up.
Another one from Brandon Plensner. Thank you very much. Coaches are completely self-unaware. Just embarrassing decisions throughout the game. Freeman has an issue at defensive coordinator and special teams, not to mention playing down to competition.
Yeah, the playing down to competition thing is a little frustrating.
That's a very frustrating because it's becoming a bit of a trend.
But that's a maturity thing, Vince, right?
Right. Exactly correct. I agree with that. It's a trend under Marcus Freeman's head coaching career. That's a problem that you hope is getting cleaned up, obviously. But yes, it is a maturity thing, and it has to do with leadership, both on the field and off.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
I'll say this too, responding to Chris H. made a comment earlier that we didn't like. He just made one that we do like. He says, has the absence of Greathouse made it easier for teams to contain Fields? I think that, combined with the fact that they don't do enough to really force Fields and Raritan into the offense, makes it easier. Teams are fine trying to let Jordan Faison and Will Pauling beat them. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. They're not going to let Malachi Fields beat them. They're not going to let Eli, you know what I mean? And they need to do more to try to build the pass game around those two and not around Pauling and Faison. And the lack of Jaden Greathouse being a focal point of this offense is, I do think, absolutely has made it a little tougher to get Malachi Fields the ball if you're only going to play him at X, which is a different problem for a different day. Laura Dern's Jurassic Park shorts, right? Don't know what that was in reference to, but and then we got two from Jacob Steely. Jacob says, "Where's Chad Powers? We need a kicker."
Chad
I'm
Powers
like
is the quarterback, though.
Yeah, but we could get Justin Yoon to maybe pull like a Chad Powers or something
I'm
and walk on from the soccer team or hockey team or something. So he did that, put that one up twice. So this is a very fair question from Josh Phillips. I'm going to ask it because, Vince, I want you to answer it. Thank you, Josh, for the super chat. Jacob Steely, thank you for you. Lord Dern, thank you to you. Which was worse, kicking game or officiating?
As the kicking game. I mean, I know the officiating was bad and it's been bad all year, but you can't miss PATs. It's unacceptable in the high school level. It's really unacceptable at Notre Dame. The kicking game was worse, and it's not that close for me. So, and I realize I am partial to special teams. Everybody knows this, but you can't miss PATs. This team has missed, I think, 6 PATs this season, I think is the number off the top of my head. That is nuts. That is crazy that you miss 6 PATs. And it's not just one guy. There's multiple guys missing 6 PATs. That's unacceptable. It cannot happen. It absolutely cannot happen. So it's kicking game for me.
Sean, you have a same opinion or?
Yeah.
That's how bad the special teams was. That the answer to this question is yes, because the officiating sucked.
The officiating was terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Inexcusable calls made by the officials, no doubt about it. But again, you can't miss PATs.
I agree.
I mean,
especially 2 of them.
Right. Oh my gosh. I watch middle school football where they don't miss PATs, and I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being honest. Like that, middle school kids don't miss them. Anyway,
my nephew went 3 of 5 in a high school game last night, PATs, and he didn't start kicking until the 3rd game of the year. Literally, they asked him to come out for the team after 2 games because they didn't have a kicker. And, I mean, this is embarrassing. You went one of 3, I think. Was it 1 of 3 today in PATs?
Today for PAT, yeah. Yeah, because they went for 2 once. As well, and they missed a field goal, very makeable 35-yard field goal. So
it's an absolute joke.
Yep. Matt from Shanghai, thank you for the super chat. Denbrock frustrates the heck out of me. Number 1 paid offensive coordinator. I feel like our offense should be so much better than it is with the pieces we have. Just seems to be very little creativity with the game plans week after week. Please cheer me up.
Sean, I'll let you take this one first because I have some thoughts on this.
I'll take the big picture view. I think there is something that you mentioned about the design of the run game. But I think it's very similar to what we see defensively, where the coverage that's called doesn't match up with the pass rush. And when you don't have tight coverage, and you're blitzing or you're trying to allow your guys to get to the quarterback, then you come up with wide open receivers in the middle of the field with no one around, because those two things are not tied together. And it just doesn't seem like the run game is tied into. It's almost like, okay, we're going to run it, and we're going to run it based upon what we do and not based upon what they're doing or what they're trying to take away. So even if they're trying to take away our inside run game, we're just going to continue to run it inside and just ignore the fact that we can actually, get them out of this either with passes on swing passes or the outside run game, and doing some other things to get to the outside with our really fast running backs. And then that can be married into other things in the pass game outside of, I think they hit Raritan. Look, man, Raritan had a mismatch all day because the guy, he's so big. The defender he had on him looked like he was about 5'7", and he probably was much taller than that. But it was just like, yeah, just throw the ball up to him.
Sean, Malachi Fields and Eli Raritan were targeted the same number of times as Will Pauling, total combined.
And you can't
not each one.
Have that. Yeah,
they combined.
Yeah,
were targeted. Jeremiah Love, Eli Raritan, and Malachi Fields were targeted 12 times, the same amount as Jordan Faison and Will Pauling. Now, some of that's the nature of the offense, but I'm sorry, man. You've got we saw this from LSU with Mike Denbrock. They would move Malik Neighbors around.
Yeah,
they would move Brian Thomas around. Why don't they do that here? Is it a receivers coach? Is it what's the reason why? You can't allow teams to just take Malachi Fields out of the game like that. Jordan Faison and Will Pauling are good football players, but they're not difference makers the way that this staff thinks they are. Sure, they are against Boston College, but they're not going to be against the Ohio States. And that's what kind of frustrates me, to be completely honest with you guys. I don't think it's a lack of creativity. I don't think it's always using your parts the best. I mean, a week ago, we were talking about how much Mike Denbrock was in his bag a week ago. We were talking about the same thing, against Arkansas and Purdue it wasn't just, and I think the play calling early on was great. I love Tate coming out early on and taking a shot.
Taking shots.
Yeah. Got to protect the quarterback a little bit better. But I don't think it was as much about the play calling as it was, the execution of the pass game. Receivers coming off the line slow. Pass pro was, spotty early and settled in and was pretty good as the game went on. But the play action touchdown pass, that was a great play call. I mean, he's not an air raid guy, so we're not going to see the gimmicky stuff all the time. That's not who he is. Were there things that frustrated me today? Yes, but I think what happens with Denbrock and with a lot of coordinators, especially on offense, is whenever they don't have a good game, it's always, it's bad play calling. Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it's,
it's a mixture of everything,
right?
That you're talking about.
Today was not a great day for Mike Denbrock, but it was also a game where they averaged 8.3 yards per play. There were some things I would have liked to have seen in this game, but it's just like with a lot of things. It's like, I want to be critical of this game. I thought a week ago they were pretty flipping good in play calling and design and all that kind of stuff. NC State, I thought they had a really good game plan. They didn't execute it real well, but the game plan was great, and that's why there was guys running wide open the whole game. They just then they had stupid, penalties near the goal line and mistakes in the in the red zone and all that kind of stuff that were problematic. But and then when there is a game like this, it's like it's always like this. I'm like, well, no. I mean, if he sucks that bad, why are they 10th in scoring coming into the game? Why are they 11th in yards per game, 9th in yards per play? He didn't have his best game, didn't have a bad game, in my opinion. I think he needs to demand more from the run game design, to be honest with you. And I think they need to do more to build the offense around Malachi Fields and Eli Raritan. So, yes, I am by not even remotely sitting there saying Mike Denbrock gets a pass, but I think we've kind of jumped a little too far ahead on this one and act like it's always bad or, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I just think the usage, like you said, there are certain things that need to be tied together. And that's why I went back to what you said about the run game design. And I just think, when you get look, a lot of this, as far as this offense, and I've said this before, you have a first-time starter at quarterback. And you're not trying to put everything on his shoulders. And you're trying to, as you build him up, simplify things and give him easy things in an easy game plan. This is what we're going to ask you to do this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said this week. I said, look, I think CJ Carr is going to make his biggest jump during bowl prep. I said, because they have the extra week. They don't play championship weekend. And then he's probably going to get 2 to 3 weeks to just really sit down and look at everything that everyone has done against him. That also gives his offensive coordinator to really hone in on, okay, this is what he does really well. This is, and I said, he's
in a
going
game
to make
where
a
they had
jump.
basically 2 brand new starters in the offensive line.
Absolutely. Then you get some of those, you get Shroud back and Jagasaw might come back and you get healthier. I just think that offense is really going to be able to make a jump going into the playoffs. But there are still some things they can do now in the regular season, just as far as the way they coach and marry everything together, right? To be able to just keep defenses from just being able to tee off, man. You can just see in short yardage, defense, they're just teeing off with their linebackers and safeties with no thought of being attacked on the perimeter. Like they're just selling out straight downhill. And it's almost like at some point, let's give them something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give them something. And it's not on, because I know people will say, well, man, CJ is not a run threat. It's like, it's not even about CJ being a viable run threat or anything
Plenty
like
of
that.
great quarterbacks who are not run threats.
It's just, man, don't allow people just to tee off on you. Especially you get in short yardage situations, especially in the red zone. We just see players flying off the edge. I mean, they're just flying off the edge, and they're right there before Jeremiah even gets the handoff or Jadarian gets the handoff. It's like, look, you're putting your guys at a disadvantage. Do something different. Add an offensive lineman, something, to make the defenses think. Because right now, from a preparation standpoint, as I said, they're expecting certain things in certain situations, and they're getting that. And I understand feeling like, okay, we just have to do it better. As a coach, you have to go beyond that. Yeah, you have to do and execute better, but, present things a little bit better as well.
Vince, you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Nope. Let's hit it. Matt from Jacob Steely, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Freeman cares solely about winning? He's not BK. Isn't it a blessing to win and learn? Honest question. I'm getting scared to play a good team.
No, because this team will be up for good teams. I mean, guys, they've played good teams before. They beat a ranked USC team last week by 10. They lost to the number 3 team in the country by a point. Like they beat Boise by 3 touchdowns. Like, again, the problem with this team is that they play down to the competition at times. They have not been a team that doesn't play well in big games. Like again, we can and should be frustrated with what we saw today. 100%. I mean, I don't know why this is like kind of hard to figure out sometimes. Like, be frustrated with this performance, but then don't start assuming that this team can't beat anybody, because this is not going to be the way that they play the rest of the year. They played bad today. I'm pissed about today. I'm frustrated about the things that lead to performances like this. But this is also a team that in the last 2 years has gone now 20-4 and has 9 wins over ranked opponents, something like that. Like, we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves with this. No, Marcus Freeman does not care solely about winning. Did he look happy to you during the game today? Did he look like he was like, oh, winning's all that matters? Did he look like that on the sideline today? Do you think I'm less pissed about this game than Marcus Freeman? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
No, he looked very, very upset after that game was over. Yeah. I haven't watched his press conference, but I guarantee you it was not, all fun and games. I guarantee you that.
So, yeah, no, look, he's not BK. Isn't it a blessing to win and learn? Yeah, it's always a blessing to win and learn, because you could have not won today. But they did.
Correct.
I mean, guys, if they just don't fumble inside the 5 and they know how to kick extra points and field goals, it's a 38-10 game.
Yeah.
Right? But again, it's the same crap we've been talking about since I started doing this. Guys, we are not going to accept mediocrity just because we're fans of Notre Dame, and neither should you. And this team's down by 6 to this bad team. That means they must suck too. We never said they suck. Grow up. Grow up. If you're happy with them beating a now 1-8 football team by 15 points, good for you. You must have loved Brian Kelly because he made those same excuses, and he was a guy that was sub 500 in his career against top 25 teams. We have never been this way. How are you tuning in tonight surprised that we're not happy that they beat a 1-7 team, now 1-8 team by 15, where it was legitimately a competitive game in the second half? How are you surprised by that? This is not the standard we've set for Notre Dame because it's not the standard of Notre Dame. And you know who else doesn't believe today's performance is the standard of Notre Dame? Marcus freaking Freeman.
Zach 32. Thanks for the super chat. Does Notre Dame still not know how to handle success?
That's a very legitimate question, Zach. This team definitely starts getting in its feels a little bit, and they don't handle it well. And that is absolutely something that Marcus Freeman's going to have to look in the mirror and figure out, because that's been consistent. Like somebody said, this is year 4. Why are they still having these? Because every team is different. It's not year 4 of the same players and same staff. It's a different team. But when there are themes across different teams that happen, then you've got to kind of be like, why is this happening? And I think that's been a consistent theme for 23, 24, and 25 is when this team starts feeling pretty good about themselves, they kind of have a clunker. Fortunately, they're talented enough to win most of those games. But yeah, they got to figure that out. Because I watch Indiana play teams like this and beat them by 50 every time. Minimum 25, 30. And well, the big thing, yeah, guys, Boston College sucks. They're terrible.
Chad Delpreet, thanks for the super chat. I got really worried about the focus this week when Freeman mentioned that they spent a couple days working on Navy. That I disagree.
Well, they did that during the bye week.
The bye week,
and they always do that when there's a bye. There's been times in the past where they'd work on Navy in fall camp.
They did this year. I 100% did, because that's what they always have that in there, because you can't just do that in a week.
Yeah. And let's not forget, the side of the ball that spent time preparing for Navy is the side of the ball that was dominant today.
Yeah, good point.
Notre Dame's offense wasn't practicing for Navy because they don't run a triple option defense. It's the defense that was preparing for Navy. So the offense's struggles today have nothing to do with that. You didn't have CJ Carr in those days practice running the triple option. He was running his offense and focusing on the things that they focused on. So I understand, Chad, sometimes 1 + 1 = 2. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 2, but this isn't 1 and that's not 1. This is something different. So I understand it, but I don't think that's what today was about.
Yeah, agreed. God Country Notre Dame Barbecue, thanks for the super chat. That's the most disappointing 15-point win that I've ever watched. This team/offense reminds me of a Ferrari that can't shift out of second gear.
Sometimes. Yeah, that's fair sometimes. Yeah.
I wish I had the experience of driving a Ferrari in second gear.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Well, I facts.
That's where I'm at.
I don't know if that's like either, Vince.
Nova 2015, thanks for the super chat. A lot of the players thought that they were too good to play BC. That starts during the bye week. They won the game, but they did not have a good day.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's very fair, Nova.
Harold Ustashi. Sorry if I butchered your last name. Thank you for the super chat. The defensive line was fantastic, but the rest of the performance was unacceptable. Why were they celebrating so much? The penalties, I blame Freeman.
I think Sean,
Celebrating
I
big
felt
plays, you can celebrate big plays.
I felt they celebrated as much as they normally do, and the way most teams do. Like I said, I think Kingston used bad judgment on that one play. I don't think the celebrations were necessarily. Am I forgetting another penalty on a celebration?
And then at some point, we have to be a little balanced when it comes to mistakes that are made and where we appropriate blame. You can't blame me, Vince. You can't be blamed for every mistake your children make. I can't be blamed for every mistake that my daughter ends up making. Right? That's not how it works. And sometimes we use that type of line of thinking. And Marcus Freeman can't be blamed for every mistake a player makes on the field, especially when it comes to discipline. He is responsible for setting the tone and the culture that eliminates that. But not once, and I said this earlier, not once did I see a leader in the form of a player in the midst of all of those things get after anybody. And it's like, yo, if Marcus Freeman has to be the only person to get after somebody and discipline them, hey, a player has to be able to snatch somebody up, say, hey, like, what are you doing? Somebody should have grabbed Boubacar.
Yep.
When he almost got another penalty. Like,
Adon did come down and get him. Adon came down and got him.
I'm glad he did.
Right.
I missed that.
From pretty far away. Yeah, he didn't get there right away because he was way down the field, but I think he was the first guy to get to Adon or Boubacar, if not the same guy. Right.
And they were running the clock out. And Jeremiah Love is woofing and doing things. And Sullivan Absher had to, hit him in his chest and move him back. It's like Sullivan Absher is a first-time starter. And you would expect more from Jeremiah Love. But Jeremiah Love is really like that fire. He's going to play hard. He's that guy. He's
a lead by example.
Leads by example guy, right? So I just think that that's one of those things that they'll be able to get together. But I wouldn't attribute all of that to Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
Chris Federico, thanks for the super chat. After the first two drives, I said it looked like the offensive coaches were treating this game like a scrimmage, and that's exactly how the team responded. I don't think there was a sense of urgency like there needed to be. I agree with that. I think they were flat at the beginning of the game for sure. A lot of that comes back to preparation. That comes back to listening to the message that is being sent all week long or all 2 weeks, depending on how you want to look at it. The Boston College prep was all this week, so I'll say 1 week. It's about the message, and I'm not saying just the message from the head coach, because you listen to the head coach at the beginning of every practice, at the end of every practice. You listen to your position coaches during practice and in the film room. And so I don't know. I'm guessing that there wasn't a consistent message, and if it was consistent, it wasn't a message of urgency, and that's a problem for me because they didn't come out. At least they didn't come out with a sense of urgency. So I have to feel like that was being, not drilled into them, but it was like, oh, hey, man, we got another game. Let's get after it. That kind of thing. There was a lack of urgency for me today.
Mm-hmm. That has happened too much this year, especially at wide receiver.
Yeah, agreed. Michael S., thanks for the super chat. After this game, ND will be lucky to be 12 on Tuesday.
You think they're going to stay behind the two teams ahead of them that lost?
Vanderbilt?
Yeah, Vanderbilt got smacked today. Georgia Tech is down 4 to NC State, and NC State just ripped off a long run to get down inside the 5.
Yeah.
Miami just lost to a SMU. I mean, guys, again, if I'm doing rankings, I'm jumping Texas Tech ahead of Notre Dame based on how they played today against against Kansas State.
What about Texas? Are you jumping them above Notre Dame?
Yeah.
People are real worried about that.
No, now if they go beat Georgia and then go beat
sure. I'm talking about
maybe. But after this game, no. Because this is still a team that needed overtime to beat freaking Mississippi State last week.
I don't disagree with you. I just want to make
and lost to Florida. But Texas Tech is 7-1. Their only loss came without their starting quarterback, and they just dominated a hot Kansas State team today on the road. Like, I think they've earned a spot, but I'm dropping Miami below Notre Dame. What about the head-to-head? That's a plus for Miami, but overall, Notre Dame's been a better team than Miami the last month and a half. So I'm dropping Vanderbilt behind them, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I just think this is another one. Is Denbrock plateauing? No. I mean, guys, we're coming off the last time they played, they rushed for over 300 yards, right? This is the frustrating part. Be pissed about today's game. Talk about how they got to do this and this and this to improve in the future, but we don't need to like make these like dramatic overreactions to where like other teams struggle too. And what bothers me is when people use that as an excuse to not be critical of Notre Dame. That's lazy and that's tiresome, and that's the loser mentality that Brian Kelly had at Notre Dame, right? You can be critical of the game and still not go jump off a cliff and act like everybody else won by 50 today. But we're talking about Notre Dame and what Notre Dame needs to do to play better, and what they need to do to be more mature, be more consistent, play to their potential. Like, do you think when Ohio State lost to Michigan last year that they got hot and won a championship because they said, hey, guys, don't worry about it. We just had a bad day. No, they got pissed and said, never again. And they made changes. So I just get so tired of this, of the two extremes of the one. It's like, hey, it's just a win. Everybody hold hands and sing Kumbaya. They got to win over a crappy BC team. This should have been the score of their second team against BC. Dead serious. But it also doesn't then mean, well, they're not going to win another game the rest of the year. The team that lost by 17 to North Texas today is going to beat Notre Dame next week. The team that got smacked by North Carolina is going to beat Notre Dame in a few weeks if they play like they did today. No. Evaluate this performance for what it is. Lay out the potential dangers for them not improving. But we have not seen Marcus Freeman's team put multiple performances like this together because you know why? Because he doesn't get happy with games like this. That's the whole thing. Do you think Marcus Freeman is sitting on the plane right now? Like, pulled out the guitar, he's just back there strumming his songs like, I'm just so happy about today's game. Just playing his little guitar on the plane, all super happy. I can't wait to get home and just eat a big piece of chocolate cake because I'm so happy that we beat BC by 15. Heck no. Which is why he's wins at Notre Dame and will continue to win. But yeah, he's got to fix some stuff. Absolutely got to fix some stuff, including some stuff for him, because you may think something is going to work, but then when you find out it doesn't, you make corrections and make changes. That's what good coaches do. Nick Saban had to do that at times. Urban Meyers had to do that at times. Dabo had to do that at times when they were winning championships. And so will Marcus Freeman.
Brian Gallagher, thanks for the super chat. Here's to hoping we never get a bye in the playoffs.
Well, technically, Notre Dame gets a bye for the playoffs, no matter what round they're in.
This is facts.
So
they could get two. They could get two if they are what top four team, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't see Notre Dame being a top four team. There's way too much chaos that would have to happen.
Are you talking about this year? Oh gosh, no. No. I'm with you on that one. I'm saying in general, like
Yeah, I gotcha.
I
was responding to his.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, to his.
Just making sure we're on the same page. All right. B Pass, thanks for the super chat. A big focus topic last week was red zone and fourth down. Today had a fumble inside the 5, terrible fourth down pass, and a bad fake. I'm not happy with the bye week focus.
That will be discussed upon further review tomorrow. I can promise you.
Writing some notes here. Brock Fonville, thanks for the super
It was
chat.
one of our keys to victory events.
Okay, gotcha.
That's why.
Happy for the win. Poor execution is a sign of poor coaching. I don't know what's going on with this team, but there's enough talent to win it all. Go Irish.
Yeah, agree.
We've always said that. Like, that talent's not the issue here.
Like, the deal is, Sean, and I'm just going to say it again. The reason you challenge and call out things like we saw today is so that it gets fixed. Kind of like, how you should have been calling out Ohio State last year when they lost to Oregon 1 week, had a bye, and then came out and played like absolute garbage against Nebraska and should have lost that game, honestly. and then didn't play very well against Penn State, and then had a sloppy win over a bad Purdue team, and then lost at home to Michigan, a team that was 6-5. A team that was 6-5 and had just gotten beat by an Indiana team that they beat by multiple touchdowns. An Indiana team that had lost, 4 of their last 6 games, lost to Washington by 10, Illinois by 14, Oregon by 21. Do you think people are like, hey, guys, winning's hard, and just it's just one game, and we'll be fine? No, they got pissed. They said, this ain't going to happen again. The leadership of the player level stood up. I mean, that's the thing is that wasn't even about the coaches making changes. That was about the players saying, nope, this is going to get changed. And that's the thing is this team needs to figure that stuff out on the player level on top of the coaches. So, and also I'll say this, I coached on some great teams. Well, I mean, you guys were joking the other day. The reason that they're saying Hall of Famers because the national championship team that I coached on is getting elected into the Hall of Fame at Duquesne. I've coached on conference championship teams. I've coached on teams where we were the first team in school history to make it to the playoffs and win a playoff game. There were weeks during each of those seasons where I was like, we didn't do a very good job coaching this week. There were weeks during those seasons where I said, I didn't do a very good job coaching this week. I didn't have my guys ready to go play. Didn't mean that we were bad coaches. It means that we didn't do a good job that week. You know what we did? Got in the lab. We figured out what the problems were. We addressed those problems, fixed those problems, whether it was our coaching, whether it was our preparation, whether it was the right personnel, and we went out and started winning again, just like Ohio State did last year, just like Clemson did in 2016 when they lost at home to Pitt in that elite 20. I've heard people say, well, yeah, I mean, Brian Kelly, they lost to a Clemson because they had elite this and elite that in person. Well, I watched that Clemson team in 2018 with that generational defense and that generational quarterback barely beat Syracuse. I watched the 2016 Clemson team that beat Bama in the title game and beat Ohio State 31-0 in the playoffs, lose at home to Pitt and give up 40-something points. It's be upset about what you're seeing, but then go fix it. Call it out and go fix it. And that's what we want to see.
Hunter Hall, I'm a little upset about. Thank you for the super chat, Hunter. Appreciate it very much. I'm a little upset about 15 on BC with what he was doing to Carr after the ball was gone. I couldn't imagine what the guy would have done if he got a real shot at Carr.
That was some dirty football because he did that twice. Intentionally did that twice. They were cheap shot and they were doing a lot of that BS. And that doesn't happen unless that's being nudged by the coaching staff.
Oh, yeah.
So what little respect I had for the BC coaching staff coming into the game, and it wasn't much, is even less today. That was dirty football. Dirty football. And then I got to listen to Brock Osweiler talking about, well, it's not you can't keep running and then hit a guy. It's like the Miami game. We didn't hear the whistle. Doesn't matter if you didn't hear the whistle or not. Because otherwise you just keep running and drill a guy and be like, I didn't hear the whistle. Reuben Bain heard the whistle. It was dirty football. You can't do that. That's the kind of stuff you should call, not some of the other crap we've seen, not just for Notre Dame, but for other teams too, get called. It's just, yeah.
AK, thanks for the super chat. What was your guys' opinion on the linebacker play outside of KVA, or how they were being asked to do?
I thought Drake played a great game. I thought Drake was outstanding. He was all over the field, making plays in the run game, making plays in coverage, making plays as a pass rusher. I thought Jaden Osborne had a pretty good game. He was good in coverage. Didn't see him around the ball as much in the run game. Just didn't see it. Not saying he wasn't, just didn't see it. I thought Jalen Sneed struggled. He had a couple flashy plays, but he was out of position in coverage multiple times. He was good as a pass rusher, and then he had the dumb penalty. So he had about 4 or 5 just, what are you doing plays today that, just kind of, he tends to have more than you'd like. But I also thought was it USC game or was it the game before? But he's also had a couple really good games lately, also. But the reality is, there's just too much of this stuff. There's too much of this inconsistency from a guy that's a senior. And then that was a dirty play. I'm sorry, it was. Like, he knew the ball was gone, took multiple steps, and then gave the guy a very hard shove into the sidelines. You can't do that. That's just for a senior. Come on, man. Well, overall, linebacker play was very good. Anybody see it a different way?
Nope.
No, we talked about it. I just don't understand why there's so much focus put on Drake Bowen. I just don't.
Then up, Trev?
If you remember, Brian, like, the fan base said he was slow.
Mm-hmm.
Then he disproves that. Then they say, well, he can't cover, and he keeps getting better in pass coverage week after week. It's like everything that you hear, the kid goes out there and just erases that. Like, you can't say he's slow anymore, right? Someone in the chat said he was out of position on 5-6 plays. Like, all right, okay. I'll check the actual film.
That's
copy.
actually not a high number. But when you're looking to validate some opinion that you have or that somebody else you listen to has, you're going to focus on those things.
So we brought it up earlier. Like, when the middle of the field is open in zone, why is Drake Bowen the one getting blamed for that?
Right.
If he's being coached to play it that way, because they've been hitting the same spot in zone since week 1. So why are we saying that's Drake Bowen and no one else?
Right.
Because most teams that I see, the linebackers aren't coached to allow routes in front of them. They're forced to allow routes to go behind them to sandwich in between the safety, so the quarterback has to feather the throw. But we consistently see our linebackers playing it differently. But anytime it's caught over the middle, it must be Drake.
When you're looking for, that's confirmation bias.
Yes.
And I don't know. I mean, I thought the way that Drake has played the last 6-7 games that people would be past that, but apparently not.
No,
I don't get it.
No, that's the person. That's the person to look and blame. How about coaching and play calling and situationally? Why are we giving that up? Like I told you, I thought another call. They had him pinned back. Was that towards the end of the first half? Didn't they have them pinned on, like, inside the 5 or something?
Mm-hmm. And they went all the way down the field.
They stuffed the run on first down, and then he just comes, like, he sends both linebackers. That had nothing to do with Drake Bowen. He was blitzing.
Was that the play they ran the little slant route behind it?
I think it was a slant behind it.
I think it was Jalen Sneed was supposed to jump over there and cover and didn't get over.
Didn't get over. But I question. I'm like, man, we're whipping their offensive line, whipping them. Why are we even sending the linebackers right now? We're whipping them. Just keep whipping their tails. They're backed up. And
it's situational awareness. And then if you're going to do, but here's the thing: if you're going to do that, Sean, you're going to bring your linebackers. You don't play off coverage and just give up easy inside slants.
Easy inside.
So my note was blown coverage 3 ? Like, I'm gonna have to go watch that again because that was too wide open to just be you played off coverage. But there was a lot of that. Like it's where the coverage doesn't match the front pressure doesn't match the coverage. Yeah. You don't bring a double inside blitz and then just give up the inside. You just freaking don't do that. That's unless you're an offensive coach like me, then you're like, please do that, and then we're gonna beat you with it.
Are we? I'm just asking because I see everybody else do it. Are we allowed to simulate pressure to look like we're bringing 6 and actually still bring 4? Are we allowed to do that?
Technically, you're allowed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if Notre Dame's allowed in their playbook, but yeah, by rule, you're allowed to do that.
Okay.
I got to just I'm going to bring Trev, by the way, man. How are you? How you
I'm
doing,
good.
buddy?
It didn't feel like a Saturday unless I was hanging out with you fine
That's
gentlemen.
right.
So.
I get it. I've been there before, man. Where I'm like, I'm not going to get on the show tonight. And I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm going to get on the show. I just want to bring this one up from Devin Holdman. Deco, thanks, man. I appreciate you very, very much. Play Josh Burnham more. Amen. Been saying that for a while. Carr finally looked like Carr again. The reason man kicking hurt so much, keep up the awesome work, boys. I appreciate you very much, man. And we will definitely do that. But the reason I wanted to bring that up more, because it is hilarious how in one super chat, it's like CJ Carr was less than impressive. And then another super chat, CJ Carr looked like CJ Carr again. We're all going to see things differently. And that's part of the fun. But at the end of the day, when you start seeing things consistently at certain spots, that's when you have to say there's a problem here. But yeah, the kicking is like, I don't even know why they lined up to kick again after the second miss. Like I'm like, screw it. We're going for 2 all day today. It's terrible. And they weren't even close, guys. Like none of the misses were even close. Except the first one hit off the upright. The guy that got benched first is the only one that was even close because
It was the closest of all of them.
You know, it's just like, dude.
It's just, and he didn't even get a second chance at it.
No,
like Schmidt got a second chance.
No,
whatever, man.
Did he?
Yeah, he kicked the last one that went in.
Oh, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was after Jeremiah Love's touchdown run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was another touchdown by NC State. It's about to be 38-23. But so it was
Burnett.
Schmidt missed the first one.
No, Burnett missed the first one.
Burnett missed the first one. Then Schmidt missed the field goal.
Yeah.
Then Marcelo missed the
PAT.
second PAT, and then Schmidt hit the final.
Hit a PAT. Okay. Correct.
I honestly just stopped watching it.
The fact that we have to think about which kicker they ran out there to miss.
Which kick? What was the order of missed kicks again? I've literally never seen that before.
I'm just going to throw out there again that my kid was 4-4 today, but whatever.
A little different crowd size, but I get your point.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. The uprights are the same distance apart.
I get your point.
It's the same size football.
A little bit of different pressure, but I definitely get your point. Get your point. I mean, I would trust him more than some of the
They were at Boston College, all right?
Yeah.
No, anyway, I'm not going to throw hate at Boston College. All right. Alex Rohr, thanks for the super chat. I feel like Nick Saban when he doesn't have his 2 oatmeal cream pies. Cranky. I still relieved that we won, though. Go Irish. I'm cranky.
I think Alex's point right there, guys, and Trev, we'll let you get a little word in. I think that's the proper way to go. I'm not happy about how the game got played, but I'm happy they got the W.
Right.
Because it's always better to have stuff to clean up when you get a win.
You guys ever have dinner plans and you're just so excited to go out to eat and you're starving all day and then you get there and then the meal's just like, I ate.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel right now, if I'm being 100% honest. You know, you travel, you get here, you're in a new city, you get up to a new press box, new statements like, all right, here we go. And it just, and here's the weird thing. I was there in person and I didn't get the vibes in the pregame, how the game played out. You know, sometimes I'm sure that we all remember games where you watch the team going through warmups and it just doesn't look like they're locked in. It doesn't look like they're that dialed. That wasn't the case. The game today was real weird, man. I know you guys covered it, but like the end of the first half was really weird. Like Notre Dame called a timeout when they probably shouldn't have called a timeout, but then Boston College comes out and prevent, and then Notre Dame gets basically 20 free yards, and then they missed the. It was just so weird, man. But yes, cranky is a very good word for it. And on my way back here, I had an Uber driver keep asking me about the game, and I was like, "Look, man, I just don't want to talk about it." And I tried to put my AirPods in, and they were dead. So then I just talked about it.
They were so unprepared. Didn't charge your AirPods.
Trev said, "Listen, man, I only give my opinion when I'm getting paid for it." Yeah, that's frustrating. We've been doing a lot of venting here today.
Yeah, not surprising. Hey, Reagan, thanks for the super chat. J Love, win, learn and keep moving. IB for life.
Yeah. I mean that ultimately, Sean, that's where we have been all day.
Yes.
But if you can't talk about what went wrong, then you can't learn from it. If it's like, well, just be happy you won, then you don't learn anything.
Right.
You know, I'm just glad I didn't die from that thing that I just chose to do. So I'm just going to take that as a victory. and keep doing the same thing. Like
That's why we have a helmet rule.
freaking helmets.
Save people from their stupidity. All right, go Irish. Thank you for the super chat. Announcer said Notre Dame is number 2 in the nation running M to
Man-to-man.
M. What's that? Man to man. Okay, got it. Strategically, is that a good or a bad thing? Why does that stat matter? How do teams use it to plan for us?
Well, number one, is it a good or bad thing? It depends on if you have the players to be good at it, and Notre Dame does. So for Notre Dame, I think that's a good thing in theory. But as with anything, something can be schematically good, and if you don't execute it or have the players to execute it, then it's not a good thing. But it's how do teams use it against them? I mean, a lot of teams have tried. I mean, Notre Dame ran a ton of man-to-man last year, and USC and Ohio State were the only 2 teams that could really do anything against it. And they ran a lot of man-to-man against NC State. They couldn't do anything about it. They ran a decent amount of man-to-man against USC, not as much as I would have liked. And honestly, a lot of the big plays that USC had in that game had the long touchdown pass and then one play against Leonard Moore. But a lot of their big plays were not against man-to-man. They were blown coverages against zone, or they just didn't have a call in when the ball was snapped like they did in the first series. So it's like with anything, go Irish, what teams are going to do to plan for it. They're going to motion a lot more. They're going to run a lot more mesh. They're going to run a lot more post-snap switches and things to try to get Notre Dame to communicate and make mistakes, which Notre Dame has had a tendency to do at times. One thing that teams have done is they run a lot of bunch, and they'll either clear out and then run somebody under, which is a challenge for man to defend. They'll run a lot of mesh stuff, which can be a challenge for man to defend. And they'll do a lot of motion stuff and kind of do rubs. Remember, Boise kept doing that when they needed to get yards. They would go motion, they would kind of rub and run like 2 little hitch or option routes, and then run that guy out on a quick route and then kind of go from there. So yeah, there's going to be things that you can do against it, but then you have answers defensively as well. You can, there's pure man where I'm taking you no matter where you go. There's sort of the pattern match type of stuff, or the match type of man where if they do a post snap switch, we pass off. So if we're sitting there in bunch and I'm got number 1 and he at the snap, he goes in front of 2 and then 2 comes out, then we're switching. You take 1, 1's now 2 and 2's now 1. And so you got to pass that off. It just depends on kind of what you do. And then it's like, do teams have good enough talent to hurt you with it? That's the other part of it. And BC did not consistently have enough to consistently beat them with it. But again, a lot of the stuff that BC did today that was successful was not against man. It was against their zone stuff. Did I miss anything on that explanation, fellows? Here's the question again. And why does that stat matter? It just matters because it's a recognition of who you are. Just so in observation, well, this is where they are. So, here's what you can expect teams to do and things like that. Go ahead, Sean.
Like I said, I think especially on third downs, as an offensive coordinator, if I were trying to attack Notre Dame, I feel comfortable knowing that the vast majority of the time I'm going up against a man on the third down. Mm-hmm. So in preparation, that makes it kind of easy to know how to best use the talent that I do have to go against their tendencies. And that's when we talked about at some point, you can still play man and break tendencies. Like you can play man and not do the things that people expect you to do, or not blitz as much, or simulate pressure and drop guys that should be dropping into coverage, that have the length and ability to drop in coverage and be effective. Is like, you have to marry certain things. And that's what I'm looking for. Like, I think people are now expecting, we're expecting to get heated up, and we're expecting to be for a hole to be right there at about 8 yards, right in the middle of the field, because somebody's not either going to drop out where they need to drop out, or it's just not going to be covered, because that's the open area. And when you blitz, there is going to always be an area that if identified pre-snap, if they can hit it early, then they're going to have a chance to catch the ball and then run. But I think it's a strength, man, to have a team and have the talent that can just, hey, you have that guy, cover them up. And you saw in certain situations today, a Don Schuler in the tip causing an interception, and then the favor being returned by Dallas Golden and the tight coverage he had, the overthrow, and the Don picks that off. So that's the benefit to being able to cover guys man to man, is that you create situations where you get turnovers.
I'll say this as an offensive coach. If your dudes are better than my dudes, I'd rather you be playing zone. Because I feel like against zone, there's more things I can do schematically to try to get guys open. If my dudes are better than your dudes, then I want you to be playing man. Because we're going to just rip you apart. So it is kind of interesting as well.
Micah with a super chat. Thank you very much. Who couldn't we beat in the playoffs? Y'all, we went out and we're in.
It's not that simple.
Quite that simple.
It's not. If you go out, like, look, beat Boise lost today, that hurt Notre Dame's strength of schedule. Arkansas lost today, that hurts their strength of schedule. Navy got smacked today, that hurts their strength of schedule. So no, it's not win and you're in. This is the whole point that we talked about. This is the frustration with this game. Notre Dame is not in a win ugly the next 5 weeks coming out of the bye and you're in. It's not that simple because they're not going to be playing ranked teams. So, like, for example, I don't think Texas is Notre Dame, and they shouldn't be ranked anywhere close to Notre Dame coming into this week. But if Texas is 10-2 at the end of the year with wins over a ranked Vandy team, a ranked Georgia team, and a Texas A&M team that Notre Dame lost to, then guess what? They're going to pass Notre Dame if Notre Dame wins like this every week.
And rightfully
Notre Dame
so.
doesn't have a lot of big games left. So you've got to dominate in those games. So no, it's not as simple as winning you're in. But I will say this, if Notre Dame plays their game, there's not a team in college football they can't beat. Nobody. Ohio State, Indiana, anybody. We just haven't seen them play close to that level that often this year. That's the frustrating thing.
Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts, thanks for the super chat. Frustrating, bizarre, it's weird. I have no clue what the identity is of this team. Strange. God bless, gents, and keep being great.
Appreciate you. I think you share a lot of
I agree, though, too,
sentiments.
because I think the identity changes week to week. And that's
unfortunately, that is their identity right now.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Their identity is inconsistency. ICURN with Irish Luck, thanks for the super chat. In the playoffs, like at Penn State, you will need to have the ability to hit field goals, especially if you plan to make a run, and we can't hit PATs. Well, they're not going to be at Penn State. I think that's a guarantee.
No, he's making the point. He's making the point like when they played Penn State last year.
Right. No, I don't totally.
You just wanted to throw shade at Penn State? I just wanted
to throw shade at Penn State because that's any opportunity I have. Yes.
I'll allow it. Like, we talked about this last year, Trev, when we were doing shows, Sean, when you and I were doing shows. I had no doubt that once Mitch Jeter got healthy, he was going to be fine.
Correct.
We kept saying, stop putting him out there when he's clearly injured. Just let him get healthy and get him healthy for the playoffs. And they got him healthy for the playoffs. I don't have that same confidence in Noah Burnett.
No, I said this last week, I guess against USC, and Brian sent it in our group text today, and I'm going to echo it again. I don't want to see another reverse, double pass, punt, fake punt, kick return, reverse. I don't want to see any of that until they figure out the kicking game. And guess what I got to see today? A bunch of missed field goals and a fake reverse, fake punt. It's just, you got to get the priorities straight. Got to get the priorities straight on special teams, or I agree that super chat's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, all those things are fun. All those things are fun and exciting, and
they've helped Notre Dame win games. I mean, the thing
100%.
that they did against Georgia last year was huge.
But they also hit all their PATs against Georgia. Like, you've got to hit the fundamentals, man. Like, that's the easiest stuff to do. Hit your PATs. I make jokes that my kid can hit PATs. Great. So can 95% of the kids that are kicking in high school, and like 50% of the kids that are kicking in middle school. Like, those are the fundamentals. You have to hit those kicks. You have to.
Kicking is apparently a lot better where Vince played than where I played.
I'm just saying.
Oh, man, I'm just messing with you, Vince.
I know you are.
No,
the point is, you got to hit your PATs, man. Those are layups.
It's a bad year to miss 2 PATs for a season. That's bad. You did it in a game.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Yes, great call. Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts, thanks for the super chat. Why can't we handle success? We seem immature, driven by emotions for better or worse. We appear on the precipice of maturity, but just not there yet. What will it take to get there?
Well, not to be sarcastic, but sometimes it's a game just like we saw today. I mean, that could be it. Where, the players are feeling good about themselves. Oh, we won. We did this. We did that. And then, you go out in the film room and you're just like, gosh, dog, man, like, coach is all over me. Or hopefully the players are watching film being like, dude, that's just unacceptable. But the light just sometimes goes on for teams. I mean, guys, let's not forget how just kind of average Ohio State looked for a lot of the second half of the year last year. They just kept winning until that dang Michigan game, and then they got embarrassed by a very mediocre team at home. And then that was the moment they needed. Light went on, leadership took over, and then they went out and rolled the next 4 games and won a championship. I'm not saying that's going to happen in Notre Dame, because sometimes, guys, the light never goes on with that team. That's possible as well. But it takes the leadership from a player standpoint to say, hey, guys, it doesn't really matter what the coaches do or don't do. We know what we need to do. We know what it takes. And we got to stop allowing this stuff to happen. And we got to figure out why are we doing these certain things? Do we lack discipline off the field? And then we think we can flip that switch on when we get on the field? Maybe that's it. Are we not preparing the right way? Are we not holding each other accountable for certain things? And then, of course, the players have to say, are we doing the best job we can of putting these kids in position to be successful? And then address it. This is from Driscoll's Homemade Alaskan Butter. I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I've never had I don't even know that there is Alaskan butter, and I've never made butter at home. But this super chat is for the Vincent D'Addario Ferrari Fund.
Ooh.
So that $1.99, you can divide that by 2, so that's about $1, Vince. So 1 down, about 700,000 more to go.
Hey,
so there you go.
Every great journey begins with 1 step. All right,
that's right.
Lou Holtz, Thunder and Bolts, thanks for the super chat. NIL money for a Hillsdale transfer kicker. It would take way less than that, by the way. I don't need NIL money. Just a scholarship. Noop Life 007, thanks for the super chat. As of today, would you trade Golden for Ash? What kind of question is that?
I mean, it's
and I mean that with all due respect.
Sure, but that's not reality.
I
mean, Noop Life, I get it. And somebody said, well, Al Golden's getting torn up in the Bengals. Oh, yeah, it's NFL. It's not NFL. Chris Ash is not as good of a defensive coordinator as Al Golden right now. But, I mean, unfortunately, he chose to leave. It's not like Marcus Freeman fired him, and we're now regretting that decision. Al Golden chose to leave, and I don't begrudge him for it.
That's where his family lives, man. Like,
it's a shot to coach the NFL, a place you've been. That's a part of life. So, I mean, if I could trade, sure, I would, but that's just not who it is. But, like, listen, understand that the pass defense has got to get a lot better, but based on the pass, the run defense probably wouldn't be as good either. One thing you got to give Chris Ash credit for is the run defense has been nasty for, like, the last couple months outside of the first half against Arkansas. And 54 of that 136 was on a quarterback keep or on a blown assignment. Like, the run defense has been like, they're on a stretch of play now that Al Golden never had, in my opinion, as a run defensive guy. So there's always good and bad with all coaches, and Chris Ash is their D coordinator. So I will, find some answers that he can fix and get at it. It's about all you can do.
Yep.
It's about all you can do. So, John Krasavic, Brian owns a butter company. I do.
There was another one up there that said,
I haven't been paid for that yet. I need to start getting some of the proceeds if I do. That's
This one's great. PJC 1122. That's exactly what someone who wants to keep a last name secret would say. That was great. I know
That's really good, PJC.
I thought that
That's
was
really
great.
good. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing. I have to do some homework tonight. Like, hey, Ange, did you start a company that I don't know about with my name on it? What's going on here? Oh, my goodness. Oh, yeah. But end of the day, fellas, you got a chance to go out there and fix it next week against Navy.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yep. Great opportunity. Home game, all the things. Night game next week. Chance to get after it. And that's the one good thing about a game on November 1st. There's a game on November 8th. And, there's time to fix what ails you, and there's time for Notre Dame to do all of those things. And while we were not happy with a lot of the execution today, you get an opportunity to get back after it. This was not the last game of the season. So that's the good part, right?
Can I say one thing? I'm a little bit, and somebody just mentioned this. I really actually very much enjoy the run defense that Chris Ash has had the last couple months, but I'm also partly torn I'm scared of watching him going against a triple option team. That dichotomy I have of, his run defense is nasty, but can he defend the triple option is going to make for a very interesting week of shows.
Well, and we all know that Marcus Freeman can just go to the file where they have the, Navy defense basically. And I'm hoping that happens. Obviously, it's not going to be like, okay, Chris, what do you got for Navy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case. Hopefully they are going back to the file cabinet, but we'll see how that goes. And we will have a post-game show and upon further review and all of those things after the Navy game next week. But before then, we have upon further review that will be out tomorrow, the audio version. And then we will also have upon further review, the video version that is only available on the boards, the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So you're definitely going to want to check that out as well. And make sure you hit that like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, share with your family and friends, give us a 5-star review, all the things that really help us do what we do around here. And we really appreciate it. And even people that don't agree with us are always welcome. All right. As long as you do it
always
the right
welcome.
way.
Just make a good argument.
Yeah. Then also, as long as you do it the right way, no name calling, things like that. Come on now. So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it on the Irish Breakdown podcast presented by FanDuel. For Brian and Sean and Trevor and myself, we will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown podcast.